Joining me on the podcast today, here at Affinity Esports at 27 Glen Road in Sandy Hook, Connecticut, one of my favorite places. I am joined, and I am so excited to be joined by some incredible individuals, the folks here that make everything happen at Affinity Esports. And I'm joined by Mark Kilpatrick, Dr. Roger Karamanica, Emily Kilpatrick, and Kate Peterson. And guys, how are you doing today? Thank you so much for joining Sweeten Up Podcast.
Whew. I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having us here today, Jeff.
Super happy to be here.
Awesome. Really glad to have you guys here. This is really special and cool for me. We were talking about it before because this is one of the first ever video production of Sweeten Up Podcast. We've never done this before, so this is really cool. I'm so excited to do it with you guys for the first time, and looking forward to definitely maybe doing these further down the line. And shout out to Josh over there behind the camera who's making it all happen today. Variation visuals, really appreciate it. So thank you to him and everybody. So yeah, guys, so this is awesome. Of course, we got some local folks here who donated some stuff for our little for our conversation today, which is great. And shout out to them. We love our local folks over here. Of course, Reverie Brewing and Achilles Nest Vineyards. Of course, Reverie Brewing and Achilles Nest were both guests of the podcast, so definitely check out those episodes if you want to get to know more about the local scene here in Sandy Hook and Newtown area of the state. But yeah, guys, so let's just kind of get into some of the things that have been going on lately before we sort of dive into your backgrounds and your stories and everything like that. So whoever wants to go first, sort of what are some things that have been going on at Affinity Esports lately that you can touch on? And just how's the new year been so far?
Yeah, that's good. It's a good question. So New Year, I'm sure everybody has a different take on it. It's been hectic. It's been exciting. I think the biggest thing is that for those of us here, we know, but others don't. We have a 1,400 square foot studio in Newtown, Connecticut.
It's beautiful.
We're sitting in it right now.
Absolutely beautiful.
And it's basically been the anchor, right, over the last almost 2 years now. But going into the new year, we have been looking at expanding. So we are now looking at our second studio location. So things have been going really well here. But we're going to be expanding to Milford, Connecticut. So Awesome. We're working on building that studio out. And then about this time last year, we launched our mobile solution because we realized we really wanted to be out impacting more of the state and doing more gaming and esports programs. So we took our mobile gaming and esports solution to 24 stations from 12. So we're basically
Awesome.
able to take that out and work with youth programs and young adult programs and all sorts of things. So that's really been the focus of this year, has been getting that studio up and then focusing on expanding our mobile capacity.
That's great, man. And there's nothing like being able to bring awesome things to individuals, meeting them in the middle, so to speak, where they might be, so that it's more accessible. That's great. And especially something as awesome as what you guys are doing over here at Affinity Esports. And when I first found out that there was an esports place, in my old hometown area, I was just so excited because I think it's something that should have maybe been here sooner. I feel like this type of thing's been popular for a long time, and I think all the good things that come out of it, the teamwork, the friendship, discipline, just so many great things that come from participating in esports and being part of a team and even individually. It's great, and I feel like if people do more and more, participate more and more, it's awesome. I'm just so excited for you guys.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of fear, right?
Sure.
Around just sort of this space. So we spend a lot of our time with parents and community leaders talking about what it actually is and what it isn't. And you look at a space like this, and these gaming centers have been around forever. Like
Right.
you said, they're LAN centers and gaming facilities, and that's what I grew up on. But the model's shifting in that the old model was, well, we just want people to come in and pay for butts and seats, right? We want people to come in, they're going to pay their $5 or $8 or whatever it is an hour. And it's shifting to more, like you said, a focus of structure and making sure that we actually have really responsible mentors on site, and that parents are being educated on what the value can be. So
yeah. No, that's change. Awesome. That's great. So I guess let's dive into it then. We got a little scope of what's going on over here at Affinity Esports, and it's really awesome stuff. I'll never forget the first time I came here, just walking into this space and the other spaces that you have, and just this fourth floor is really awesome. Very unique building. Where you are is very unique. It's right on the little river over here, a little stream, and it's really great. But let's dive into it, man. So obviously I want to go around the room and get to know everybody here. I want everyone to get to know these wonderful folks and sort of, what their hand is here at Affinity. So whoever wants to go first, just give me a little bit of background, where are you from? Where'd you go to school? Things like that. What was your childhood like? And, did you think maybe at some point in your career that you'd be in this position where you'd, be working at an esports place? That'd be really, really cool.
I'm not going to go first.
That sounds like a question for Kate.
Okay.
Yeah, Kate, you want to go?
All right. Well, my name's Kate Peterson. I am from the enormous city of Higganum, Connecticut. We got our first.
I know of Higganum.
We got our first stoplight when I was in like 6th grade.
Oh,
but we had a yellow flashing light for a long time, but we upgraded to like the 3 colors. So very small town in central Connecticut. If you're not familiar, it's close to Middletown, Connecticut.
Sure, yeah.
I am. I've been. I don't know. I guess I've been around career-wise, professionally. So I've spent most of my career working with service dogs, training service dogs.
Oh, that's awesome.
And a little over a year ago, I got involved with Affinity. It's a really kind of random career trajectory change. I would not have expected it.
Got you.
But we found out about Affinity because my son, I was looking for summer camps as parents do. And my son, he had done a lot of sports camps in Newtown. If you have a kid, you put him in sports.
Sure.
And my son, he's not really a sports kid. He tries really hard, but it's not for him. He doesn't love it. And he's 10 now, so the other kids were starting to pick up on,
right.
He's not a sports kid, right? So
Gotcha.
he's getting bullied a little bit. And I was looking for other options, and someone posted on the town Facebook page that there was a video game place in Sandy Hook, and then I couldn't find it on the internet because I was Googling like video games Sandy Hook. I legitimately had never heard the word esports before in my life.
Gotcha.
Didn't know what it was. And I was like, video games, though. Will loves video games, so let's get into it.
Right.
So I did find it eventually. I don't know how. I don't know. The search engine optimization was optimized. So I found Affinity, sent Will to a summer camp. He loved it. So we came back for like a fall program. He loved that too. We got a membership and we started just kind of showing up. And I don't know, we were here for maybe 6, 7, 8 months before I ever mentioned to anyone here that I have in fact played video games my entire life.
That's awesome.
At one point, and Mark was like, "Oh, what do you like?" Because Will was playing a game called Knockout City, which was like a dodgeball game, and I was like, "Yeah, it's fine." But I got to be honest, if it doesn't have wizards, like I'm not interested. So he told me like, "Hey, check out League of Legends." So that sent me down a whole like rabbit hole. So I spent all this time playing League of Legends. I was like, I'm gonna get really good at this.
That's awesome.
Spoiler alert: it didn't happen. But yeah, I just became more and more involved in the community here, and
that's cool.
Now I work here. I'm the director of operations now. So
look at that.
Yeah.
Director of operations.
Woo-hoo.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Going from, watching dogs, things like that, training dogs, and then coming into this space. Very interesting. Very, very
cool. A lot of my history was working with individuals with disabilities. A lot of, initially I worked with blind people. And then I transitioned to working with children with autism, which has kind of helped me in this role because a lot of the kids that gravitate to this space of esports and gaming are on the spectrum, do need a little bit of extra support in different ways. And some of my experiences kind of help me understand what those needs are and help Affinity move to a place where we can be supportive of those needs.
That's great.
So it's actually dovetailed kind of nicely, even though it feels a little random.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So so something like this sort of space is like perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Just sort of continue that thing. We're just helping people develop and, be their better self and all that stuff. And that's great. Awesome. Love it. Great story. I can't wait for more. Who's next? Who do we got
Roger,
next?
this is
here?
you.
Oh, no, that's you.
Oh, no. I insist.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Yes, of course.
I'm Dr. Roger Karamanica.
Yes.
I'm from originally Martha's Vineyard, Mass.
Oh, very cool. I've never been over there, but I gotta get.
I didn't know that.
Yes, you learn something new every day. And so I ended up in Connecticut about 25 years ago.
Cool.
And I, again, much like Kate, I wasn't in the space. I played video games my entire life. I actually took a different path where I was vice president of organizational development. and I would be in the boardroom. I'd go to board meetings, and they'd be talking about golf or tennis, and I'd be like, I'm going to go home and play an enhancement shaman and WoW, so I'm not going to tell anybody that.
Yes.
So it was just weird for me. And, Gil Fried, who's a nationally recognized sports management professor, works for University of West Florida, worked at the University of New Haven in New Haven, Connecticut.
Very cool.
And he randomly called me up one day and he was like, do you want to, work with me on a textbook? And so I got asked to work on an esports business management textbook. And that kind of started the whole ball rolling of me getting into the space. I started consulting for universities and talking to people. As soon as they realized that I gamed and I also was in the corporate world, they thought that was interesting. So I got the opportunity to work with various people. And then I started with Mark and Emily about 3 years ago. I actually don't remember how we met. That's the Clint. Okay, so Clint Kennedy introduced us, and so I run the gaming and esports management program at Post University. So we have an academic program there and varsity level play and club level play, and it works really well. Partnered with Affinity, they're our 2023 Partner of the Year, and so we're really excited to work with them.
Very awesome.
And I sit on the board for Affinity Esports, and it's just been a great opportunity to get practical learning for the students, get in here in the space, work with the students, and so that's just it's been kind of amazing as we work through. We have 5 students, six kids that work here at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
So they get practical opportunities to work in the space. And Mark, Emily, Kate, and myself, we're always being asked from various individuals, kind of my journey, how it started. Now we're all doing it together, where people will call us up and ask us, hey, we have a question about this, and we'll go there and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool. So
that's awesome. Yeah, you guys are a great group that's come together here. It's like the Avengers of video games.
Quote that. That's
Okay.
going in. That's going in.
I call Hulk.
That's
I will
going below our
post that
logo.
clip onto
It's
LinkedIn.
got to go below your logo. Your
It
little,
will.
it's your
The
tag.
Avengers
Yeah.
of video games.
Yeah.
Some people might challenge us on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say before I pass it back to Emily.
Sure, please.
When Roger, when I got introduced and we got on the call, I'll never forget. I was probably going to play soccer with John Hartlett.
Shout out to John Hartlett, Smoking
Yeah,
Buns.
shout
my
out. That's
softball
right.
team.
That's right. And I only had like a 30-minute block before I was like, I've got to be out the door.
Yeah.
I've got to be to soccer. But I was like, this Dr. Roger Karamanica, this is a big deal. I've got to get on the phone with him, right? And like, I want to just sort of tell him what I'm working on. And like, we hadn't worked like anything out. Like we had a concept document. We had an idea.
Sure.
I don't even think we had a studio at the time when I met you.
No, you didn't.
And I was just trying to pay respect to these people from the industry because I had taken, and we'll get to this, a long break from gaming and esports, and so that was part of this like local, like I really want to pay tribute and respect to the people who've been here and been
Sure.
paving the way.
Sure.
And this is an individual who's in the space, and I'll never forget the first thing he said to me. We got on the phone, we started talking, and it wasn't apprehensive, but it was like, what are your intentions with this
Me,
space?
I would never do that. I would never.
What are
do
your
that.
intentions with this space?
Yeah.
Are you here to make money? Are you here to get rich quick? Because it's not. And I was just like,
It's like the new boyfriend talk.
Right.
What are your intentions with my daughter?
I am so exactly.
It kind of was, yeah.
I was so ready for that question though.
Yeah.
And 2 years later, let me tell you, no, we but it really was awesome, and we're really lucky to have Roger here.
Yeah, that's tremendous. That's really, really great. And for those who maybe don't know what it is that you do at Post with the esports management stuff, sort of break that down, what exactly that means for an individual when they go through that.
Absolutely. So there's the gaming esports management program is about everything that's an adjacency in gaming that's beyond the coding, right? So for decades, coding degrees have existed, right? Mm-hmm. But there's other positions that exist out there in sales, HR, project management, whatever the case may be, that there wasn't necessarily dedicated learning to what does that mean for the gaming industry, right? And so the degree program focuses on all those other things that you need to understand to be in the space, right? The folks here, they're seeing this, they're living it day to day, how nuanced the industry can be, and that's what the degree program is. So we have an undergraduate degree program that's grounded in our award-winning business degree program, and then we have 24 credits that focus on esports business management, facility management, ethics in gaming, new media and streaming, that we teach everything around the industry. Mm-hmm. And so that people can, when they walk out with the undergrad, they're prepared to start, understanding the space and helping out, right? And to Mark's point earlier, that question, I always ask that question, because what jumped out at me in the beginning with Affinity is that they're authentic. And so there were a lot of people in the space that were looking to get money relatively quick, looking to, they thought it was the next big thing to get rich. And
wasn't a passion.
Yeah, and this Affinity Esports and Mark, Emily, and Kate, it's always been authentic about helping people realize their best selves. About Kate working with maybe neurodivergent players, etc. And that's where that resonated for me. And so we bring that into the program where we have university program for autistic kids that are in the program, and they love their undergrad degrees. So we have a master's degree as well for folks that are in the space for a while and want to take their career to the next level. But yeah, that's the degree program.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. Post grade school. I wish they had that when I was around.
Everybody, I literally, that is literally like that's on my that should be on my business card. I wish they had this when I was around. I get that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, that would be awesome. And does that sort of go into like sort of branding yourself, when you leave? So does that also go into sort of giving them the tools so when they leave, they know how to like kind of promote themselves and go on Twitch and have the backgrounds and the setups and stream and be part of teams and stuff like that?
Yeah, we actually have a class called New Media and Streaming where they get a chance to stream. So we have in our facility we have
that's something different. Gotcha.
Yeah, so we give them an opportunity to get on Twitch and they stream. So I'm running a class right now, tomorrow, where we'll have students get on Twitch. They'll use our Avis Gaming Club channel and they'll live stream and they'll learn how to set up OBS and they learn how to do all the puts and takes so that they can go out and do it on their own.
Nice.
We're very clear about the fact that don't expect to go get rich doing this, right? Yeah. And that's the other thing is this is a great little side hustle or a passion project for you, and if you happen to strike it rich, fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we teach them how to do that.
Cool. That's awesome. I stream on Twitch, but like I don't have a mic. Well, I have a mic. I have a mic, but I don't have a camera, so you're just watching me play.
Oh, you got to have a face cam. It's hard to break in without.
I do a lot of F1, a lot of Formula One racing. So.
What do you mean? You've got 4 mics here.
No, well, yeah, it's just not plugged into my PlayStation 5 problems. Not I don't. Wish I had a computer to be a little bit better. I'd be able to really rock it. PlayStation 5 is great. Well, no, I mean, I would love to get into this the PC, and we'll definitely get to that. I can't wait to dive into the nerdy stuff because I'm a nerd too when it comes to this stuff. Like I love video games, huge nerdy guy. But anyway, so moving on, and who wants to go? Who wants to go next?
I guess it's me. So I'm Emily Kilpatrick, born and raised in Miami, Florida.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, all the way down
Do you
south.
hate being here with how cold it is?
Actually, I was so ready for a change in weather because it's just always hot.
Always hot
in Miami.
It's always nice.
I didn't own a pair of boots until I moved to New York in 2012.
Okay.
2013.
Okay.
Something like that.
Cool.
And so yeah, I was born and raised there. I went to school with Mark at Barry University. Shout out there.
Nice. Where's that? Where's Barry
That's
University?
in Miami Shores,
cool.
Florida.
Very cool.
And then right after college, I moved to New York, and I worked for a stock photography company called Shutterstock.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And was part of their sales team. I was the lead content researcher for North and South America.
Cool.
Had a team of about 10 researchers. It was pretty cool. And then I started working with Mark, actually, at...
and that's where it all just went downhill.
Look, we were engaged when I started working with Mark. That was... that's a topic for another day. But you know what? We're here today, and
part 2 of the podcast.
Part 2. And so yeah, and I was then at home with our first baby girl.
Awesome.
And just had our second baby girl, and
Congrats.
and Mark had this plan, this thought, this idea, and I was in the middle of being a new mom and a mom of 2, and it was a lot, and I was like, you know what? Why not add this on top? Let's do it. And, baby in tow, we came and looked at this space. We started building I say we, it was me. I built all the desks and chairs that you see here.
Great job.
Mark
Now the
was on
truth
the
comes
phone
out.
She's
talking.
cracked with
Great
the
job.
IKEA instructions.
Look, you
did a great
give
job.
me a puzzle and I will figure it out.
That's awesome.
But yeah,
Stop action video.
yeah, you do. And so I like to say Mark is the face, and I'm just the behind the scenes person.
Gotcha.
At Affinity. Yeah. No, you're the face. You're the face.
You have a nice Mark. You have a nice face.
It's
You
all
do.
right.
You really do. It's a nice face. It's a nice face. It's a welcoming face.
Yeah, and so my I guess gaming in esports wasn't like I didn't think of myself as a gamer. I love board games. I loved mobile games. I'm very competitive. Mark and I used to get in tons of arguments because he's a cocky little bugger.
Yeah, he's always talking trash to me all
He
the
is
time.
such a trash
Yeah,
talker.
always.
It's
He'll randomly text me and be like,
infuriating.
"What up? I'm better than you."
That
Crazy.
does
I'm
sound
like,
like a normal.
if you were playing soccer with him, he'd
that's
grab
what
your jersey.
we wake up
Yeah,
with.
he'll
He
just
turns
say-
to me and he just goes, "Yeah, no, I'm better than you at everything." And I'm like, "Yeah, well, good morning to you too."
God. Drag him through the mud.
But then, yeah, so I now I am definitely not cracked at the sticks, as the kids would say, but I enjoy my time. I play Valorant, play League of Legends. I like Sims, and I'm not afraid to say it, even though it's not
Get
an
it, girl.
esports game.
I used to play.
Yeah, Mobile Legends.
I used to
bang,
play
bang.
the amusement park one where you
Oh,
can
it's
make
so
an
much fun.
amusement park.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah,
Roller
Roller
Coaster
Yes.
Tycoon.
Tycoon.
That's a
I
good
used to
game.
Oh,
play
that's
that
fun.
at my grandma's house in Maine
Yeah.
on her dial-up Dell
Yes.
computer.
Oh my
The big
gosh.
Big one, the big
Yes.
tube one.
Is that a cozy game?
That is a cozy game. That's fantastic.
Cozy as heck.
That's a fantastic cozy game.
Roger told me I need to play more cozy games.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Play competitively.
It's because you're so competitive.
I know, and
It's-
it's apparently not very nice to people.
It's-
when I'm
it's for you.
competing.
It's
That's
for
great.
you, Mark. It's really for you.
And now we have Mark. So Mark, tell us.
So I grew up on, let's see here, grew up playing, and I think for me it's like really interesting when I go back because I grew up really focusing on soccer, like from a very early age, probably 4 or 5, and I absolutely love soccer, but I think I was really drawn very early to, I had my brother and his friends. We got our first PC. And then I had some cousins and some of their friends that were starting to play PC games, probably in like 95, 96. And computers looked a lot different then. And they would install games. And my mom once asked me, she said, was I not a good mother? And I was like, no, you're a great mother. But I will say I started with Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six.
Okay.
In
So she's a great
97.
mother.
She's a great mother, yes.
Great
I was
games.
8 years old. And
I played
yeah,
Rainbow
great.
Six Siege.
So this was
Great
the
game.
first version of that.
Cool.
If I'm dating myself at all.
Cool.
And I got started on Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, which was my brother's computer. Him and his friends would play.
Great game, yeah.
And there was games before that, like I think StarCraft was marginally before that, and I love RTSs, right? Love that, but I really was drawn to this kind of FPS combat style, highly tactical shooter style of game.
Sure.
And so I basically, through my childhood, played Counter-Strike. And that's
Cool.
really all I did. I played some Dota, for those who know, Defense of the Ancients, which was a Warcraft 3 mod.
Okay.
Now it's a standalone game, one of the biggest in the
It's huge
in the world.
Yeah.
But I grew up on Counter-Strike, and I very quickly went from playing casually to just, I think, at that time it was very bootstrapped. There wasn't a lot of opportunities. But there was some leagues, and there was some tournaments that were starting to pop up.
Very cool.
And so I started competing at Counter-Strike, and I was going to local LAN tournaments in the Pacific Northwest. I grew up in Washington State, and I would get in my soapbox when I was in high school because people didn't love that I was playing soccer competitively because I was in a small town, Stevenson, Washington, 1,400 people. We have a flashing light, and that's it. We
You
don't
guys
have
got to upgrade.
No, they're not going to.
Yeah, where are you from?
Washington State.
Wow.
Stevenson, Washington.
Wow,
We have
you ended
two
up over
flashing
here.
lights. Yeah.
So you lived on both sides of the...
Yeah. So I'll come to that. So
Yeah.
I was competing in Counter-Strike, and I was improving at soccer and playing, club level, like travel, what they would call it here in Connecticut.
That's great.
But I loved both things. And I'll never forget, I wrote a junior's honors English paper my junior year. I still have it. I pulled it back up. I was like, I've got to see this. Where I was like esports is going to be basically respected like sports in the next 10 years. And I was constantly like kicking and screaming and getting on my soapbox, be like, yeah, I get it. I play soccer and I know you guys want me to play basketball or football or, take my whatever athletic talents there were and invest them somewhere else into a sport that was more respected.
Right.
But I had this love for esports and Counter-Strike specifically. And I knew that feeling and I knew what it was like to step on the pitch for soccer. And that was very unique because you constantly have this debate. No, it's so different. It's so different. And I was like, it's not in terms of the way I look at it and the competition and being a part of a team and making sure that I become the best that I can be at that. So that was sort of my foundation. I then went off. I got recruited to play soccer in college, went to Barry University. That's where Emily and I met.
That's awesome.
Studied graphic design because I love video editing, which Josh is doing all his behind the scenes work. But that's really, I fell in love with building frag videos in Counter-Strike and eventually landed on graphic design because there wasn't a program at my school. Played soccer, and I sort of fell out of gaming. There was no internet at my college. We couldn't play in the dorms.
There was internet.
There was, but like you couldn't get onto a server and play, right?
Gotcha.
And
what are frag videos, if you don't mind me asking?
just like highlight videos from your gameplay.
Oh, cool.
For like Fortnite or Counter-Strike, like doing like videos of all your kind of biggest moments.
Sweet, that's awesome.
And so I was really into that, really into highlight videos for soccer and things like that. And graphic design was kind of the next best thing. And so I really loved that. Studied that for 4 years, but fell out of gaming during that time. Didn't really keep in touch with what was happening on Twitch and everything else. Ended up in New York at a startup in the fintech industry. And the pandemic is really when I snapped back to it. And it was like, I had this chance to build a computer and I started playing on my MacBook Pro. I was playing Counter-Strike on my MacBook Pro during the pandemic.
Nice.
And then that trickled to playing on my iMac, which I was like, is a little more powerful. It's a bigger screen.
Oh, yeah.
I can plug I started on my trackpad, I think, and then I upgraded to the iMac. And then I started competing again. And during the pandemic, I started playing the new version of Counter-Strike. And I got to kind of go back and relive those moments. And through that time, really realized that I wasn't in the right industry for me. I wanted to be building community. I wanted to be mentoring people. I wanted to just be more in touch, and I was in enterprise technology. My team was quite small at the time, so I wasn't making a huge impact in that way. So I wanted to build something. I wanted to be more in touch with people and community, and it hit me really early in the pandemic. I was like, I'm going to do something in this space. I don't know what yet. I have to educate myself. So I spent 2 years in the pandemic educating myself and realizing that it was still a toxic industry. There's a lot of negativity online. And really took kind of that 2-year experience building an online community to say, let's figure out what we want to do. And we had just moved to Connecticut. This pandemic's still going on. We've got our second child. And I said, why not, like, do we go get VC funding? Do we just start small? And I didn't want to sell out on the vision. I didn't want to go take money from anybody. I knew what we could build could be special, but we wanted to figure that out first. So we built this studio that you're looking at. We started in November of 21, and we had calls with people like Dr. Roger Karamanica here. We pitched our idea, we got feedback, and it ultimately helped form this idea of this community level, Connecticut focused esports organization, and where we could really create a more structured environment, help parents, help community leaders figure out how to navigate this space that was exploding right out from under them. And so that's how we got here.
That's awesome.
And I couldn't be happier. I know it's a mouthful, but
no, that's great. It's all about stories, all about hearing how you came to where you are now, and so it's great. And you painted it perfectly, and it's a beautiful space. It's a really, really, really nice space. It's so cool. I mean, and it's funny, we're talking about how far we've come with technology and computers. Right behind you, it's like I'm watching a movie. Yeah. I mean, the screens are ridiculous. I mean, just where games have come is also just absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. One thing you touched on, and one thing I think is so great about this space is how, what you were talking about with the negativity and video gaming. And I feel like having a space like this where you can have people together in an environment where you can sort of teach them the ins and outs of what you should be like and how you should conduct yourself is crucial and very important, because I feel like there aren't enough conversations, even, within someone's home about, how they can do, because I'm sure some parents probably don't always constantly monitor their kids when they're online. And I know that space can be so toxic sometimes, and actually can turn some people away. That even some people that I know, even as you get older, because I feel like when you get older, it's a little different. Things don't bother you. You're kind of used to, okay, this person's just saying this because whatever, so you kind of just let it go. But I feel like growing up, it could have been helpful for me, and I feel like it's helpful for others. So, what are some ways that what are some things that you teach? The folks that come here, whether they're adults or youth or whatever the case may be, about that, and what are some ways that or some tips for other people to sort of combat that or be better when they come across that situation?
I'll start this one, and then I think this is unbelievably important.
Yeah,
so
I'd love
I'll kick
to hear
it over
from everyone.
to
I want to make sure
else.
I didn't forget about it.
No.
I figured I'd just touch on it first.
So it's really interesting, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's always come down to accountability, and we've got keyboard warriors, right? We've got this lack of accountability when we're at home, and we see it on Facebook groups.
Yeah.
We see it
It's
on
in a lot of
anonymous
places.
boards. Yeah, we see it on social media, anywhere where you can have anonymity, right? And it happens in the gaming and esports space. And when I started playing again, I actually, what a lot of people don't know is I actually had kind of tested the waters with PUBG Mobile. I was like, I used the game. I've got my phone. I don't have a PC. I've got no way. So I started with PUBG Mobile, and I just remember even being uncomfortable. Like somebody would add me, and I was like, I've been out of this for 8 years. I don't know this person. Like I would get uncomfortable, and I'd be like, is it safe? So I went through that same emotion, having played video games my whole childhood and making friends online, and my parents taking me to local tournaments with people that I met online locally, but online first.
Right.
So I was really uneasy with that piece, and then uneasy with the way that people treated everyone else. Like I'd get into a game, you couldn't get on without a sexist remark. And I think Emily and Kate should touch on this, but a sexist remark, derogatory remark, homophobic, and the list goes on and on and on. And I was like, do I want to be a part of this? This is disgusting. Like I was uncomfortable, and I thought I can either run from it and just kind of leave this space and hide from it, or we can build something that changes that. So I think it comes down to accountability. When you look at your kids, especially parents and kids, right? Young adults, anytime you have an influence, it comes to accountability. So when you're at home, you can be under a gamer handle that's completely anonymous. You can say and do within reason. Some of these games have built-in systems to block this. You can do or say within reason what you want, and there's nobody really monitoring you. There's some punishments, but when you come to a space physically, and again, this is all about connecting people that are passionate about the gaming and esports industry. When you come to a physical space, you're accountable to an adult mentor, potentially, to the others around you. Your parents are going to be notified if something happens. So all of a sudden, you're still on technology here or in a space like ours, but you're held accountable. So for me, it comes to accountability. For parents, the best advice I can give is be present with what your kids are doing. Talk to them, maybe sit down and play the game with them. A lot of people don't make time for that, so I think that's unbelievably important. But awesome. I'll pause there and maybe pass.
Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll go next.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of youth programming with, let's say, 7 to 13-year-old kids. We have a gaming foundations course. We also do some young adult programming with 18 to 26-year-olds that are in the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services. And in both those situations, we have kind of a curriculum that we go through. And part of that curriculum is focused around teamwork and how to be like a good citizen online. And so when I'm running these courses, sometimes what I'll ask the students, whether they're 7 years old or 23 years old, like you're playing a game, you've got 4 teammates and one of them does something absolutely like just not the right thing to do, and you're like, wow, this person's not it. And I say, I'm like, okay, what could you do? Not what should you do, what did you do? Like, what could you do? Because that opens it up to like, one guy's like, well, I'll call him a brain dead noob, right? Because that's maybe the reaction.
Sure.
And having that conversation, a lot of particularly the kids, but sometimes the young adults are like, like I could tell them how to do it right, or I could tell them what they should do. And like, you can have a conversation around what's the best way to get what you want out of your teammates. And they all know that being mean to someone isn't going to help them play better. So trying to help them dig a little deeper on like, what's the motivation when you're feeling angry towards a teammate?
Sure.
And do you want to win the game, or do you want to vent? I don't know. You have to answer that for yourself.
Right.
If you want to vent, you're not doing it here in this space.
Right.
If you want to win the game, like, let's talk about how you can help your teammate and educate them and be constructive.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one way, to try and fight the toxicity. On the front of being a woman in gaming, the sexist comments, I'm going to say that in my more recent experiences, just playing games in the last year or two online, have actually been an improvement over when I used to play like World of Warcraft 8 to 10 years ago. Even at the time, even just having like a female avatar, you were like a magnet for some nasty and kind of gross things,
Sure.
which did over time kind of turn me off of any type of online gaming that you'd be just subject to other randos and whatever they felt like typing. I honestly feel like it's gotten better. I've not had anything super unpleasant directed towards me other than being called like a brain dead noob. And maybe sometimes I might warrant that. Again, it's not helpful.
Sure.
But it might be accurate.
Yeah.
But it's not helpful. It's not fixing the situation. It doesn't make me smarter.
Yeah. No, I get that. And it's interesting. It's like you say, like, people kind of just hide behind their gamer tag or whatever. My thing is, like, my gamer tag's my name, so it's Jeff_Spencer. So I'm out there. Because I don't have a bad thing to say. Nothing gets to me. If I do something bad, I'm usually like, I did something bad. That was bad. I deserve it. And then at the same time, like, I think one big thing that is for me. And I'm, it's one thing, like, you take video games like really, really seriously. I can see people who do it for a living, for a job, like taking it seriously, getting upset. Could totally see that. For me, is like, anytime I lose and someone else wins, I'm always like, hey, congrats, good for you.
Yeah.
GG. I didn't even know about GG, and it was like a couple years ago. I started playing Fortnite with my friends, and like, they're like, all right, we're done for the day, GG, and I'm like, GG, like, good game. I'm like, oh. I was like, I was like, there's lingo. I'm like, all right, so yeah, but and I feel like it's healthier when you're happy for other people, because then your time comes. I don't know. I don't know. That's how I've seen it. In sports, any situation, when you lose out, someone else wins, you're like, yeah, good for you. My time will come eventually. Being humble, I think, goes a long way. But yeah, Dr. Karamanik, I'd love to, get your take on the whole situation with how toxic it can be out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, it exists, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have to go into the industry with open eyes and understand that it exists. And I think there's two types of industry organizations in the space, right? There's ones that are in it for the money, and there's ones that are in it to be the change, right? And that's why we partner with Affinity. Is they are absolutely an organization to be the change, right? And you've heard Mark and Emily and Kate tell their stories. Mark talks about the translation, how he translated traditional sports into the ecosystem. Kate talks about her little one that didn't want to play on a traditional sport team, right? The beautiful thing about organizations that understand this is that they can take those things like grit and resiliency and a code of conduct and behavior, right? Look, you see a youth sport, they all shake hands afterwards, right? That's a traditional sport. Everybody understands that. Mm-hmm. That, they bring that into, play in the esports space, and they can change those behaviors. And, hopefully 20, 30 years from now, Kate talks about she's not seeing as much toxicity. Hopefully we can say that a lot of this has gone away. Right. But it's organizations that are being the change, that are talking through, what it means to be really ramped up. Right. So when we're emotional, when you talked about being competitive, our brains, we're flooded with chemicals. Right. That's what happens. You see traditional sports athletes flip out on the field all the time. We see it with football. We see it with basketball. Right.
Yep. Baseball.
So some of this is learning how to behave in that competitive where your brain is flooded with chemicals and not pop off. And, so organizations that are teaching young folks and adults how to manage that and behave in a way that is good for the entirety of the ecosystem, right? And I think that's the other thing that I would share is that we all love games, right? It's a theme that you can see. Everybody here loves video games. We want to see this thrive, right? And I think that's the other thing is, it's like it's kind of like, your buddy that you're like, oh, calm down, we're gonna get kicked out, right? We're all kind of like living that of like, okay, we want to see the the space grow and thrive.
Yeah.
But you have to acknowledge that it exists. And to Mark's point, some of it is anonymity, some of it's just I had a single mother. I was raised by an NES. Right. I was, a little bit older than everybody. I'm a latchkey kid. I came home every day. I walked in, I played my NES, and, I didn't have anybody guiding me how to behave. And I wasn't online at that point. And when I first got online, I didn't have anybody guiding me of, okay, you shouldn't say this, you shouldn't say that. And I think that's one of the organizations that are trying to be the change. That's really impactful for young individuals to have mentors to say, you know what? We could probably reframe the way we say that.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay to be competitive. It's good, you mean GG easy, right? Like if you win, you can, a little bit of taunting is part of sports, right?
Sure. Oh yeah.
But where does the line cross? And I see this with individuals at Affinity all the time, where their coaches will guide the students, the players, like, okay, maybe that crossed the line. Let's talk about that.
I report every player that says GG easy.
He actually does.
So do you report
he
yourself?
Really does.
He doesn't.
He never says it.
Easy.
Mark's code of conduct is real strict.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
I love that.
and that's what I was gonna say. Like we play as a group, like especially Mark, Kate, and I, and Kate's husband Eli, and Josh over there. Yes, you too. We all play together, and I mean, when we're playing together, at least for me, it's way more comfortable to talk and be more vocal, type things, do those things that you're comfortable with. Tease, sure. But I think there's like a baseline of respect and understanding, like that we always try and bring to the table. Yes, sometimes we get super heated and we're like, this is garbage, and I may do something about it, but not really, because it's a game. But if I find myself playing by myself, I am still very much, and it just might be who I am as a person, I don't talk on the mic. I don't like people. I don't. And every once in a while you'll hear people go, oh, do you have a mic? Do you have a mic? And it's like, oh yeah, I do. And like, oh, okay. And then I've had someone say like, oh, why don't you go back to the kitchen and make me a sandwich? And I'm like, okay.
Oh, boy.
One,
Yeah.
you're a jerk. Two, you're reported. Welcome. And then three, like, I'm just not going to say anything for the rest of the game. And you've just ruined the whole experience
Yeah.
for me and anyone else who may have had a mic that was also in this. So it's still there. It's still always going to be there. There's always going to be some level of it. Like you said, we know it's there. But I think it's how you bring it to the table and how you handle it and how you deal with it. That's really going to be the game changer, especially for those who don't have an Affinity Esports to like go to and learn these things from. It's how we present ourselves in games, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, chime in on that. Like, that's one of the things I love about organizations in this space. Like, go back to Kate, your little one. You said that didn't necessarily want to play traditional sports. Kids are playing. Millions and millions and millions of kids are playing games. And to Kate's point, it creates this opportunity for them to learn those behaviors. Traditional sports have been fantastic for behavior growth for young adults, right? There's this whole population of gamers that just haven't had those opportunities, and I love the fact that they're learning how to speak up, talk, right? There's so many basic skills that they can learn through gaming: communication, conflict resolution, all these things that they talk and they teach beyond just playing the video game. We've focused a lot of time on the actual game, but there are so many things that they learn from, how do I deal with conflict? How do I deal with if I'm a little bit shy? How do I deal with if somebody, makes me feel bad, right? All these, emotional intelligence skills that they're learning through this is just, I think, really the value.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because you bring up a whole nother point about, well, at least I recall, and when I was growing up, my parents were kind of like, oh, video games? Like, what could you get out of that? Like get outside. What can you possibly get out of video games? And, I wasn't allowed to get a system until I think I hit middle school. Whenever the GameCube had been out for like a year or two.
Oh, GameCube.
The GameCube was my first system. That's how long it was.
Did you have
until
Tony
my
Hawk?
parents were. Oh yeah.
Oh, Pro Skater.
Who didn't have Tony
Yes,
Hawk?
Tony Hawk.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Underground, Pro Skater, all that.
I'm what the kids would call us cracked.
And yeah, and what I think is interesting is that to your point, all the great things that you can take from video games, you can bring into the real world and your everyday life. It's so translatable, and I feel like even still a little bit, not as much, but a little bit, people, I think parents and certain folks are still hesitant to have their kids do it. And like I said, GameCube was my first system. Like, all my friends had N64. all my friends had, Super Nintendo, Game Boys and this and that, and I wasn't allowed to until I hit a certain age. And even then I was limited on how much I could play it, and just tons of different stuff. So, but it's so translatable, and and I think that's what's great about this, because then more people can see that, and then this will continue to grow. So
I think some of it too is, when I used to compete, like on one hand, I was playing Premier Soccer, which again, travel soccer.
Yeah.
And my mother and father inherently knew, like, he's at practice, right? He's on the pitch. He's warming up. Now it's a game. So like we can't run onto the pitch and deal with that. But on the flip side, I was also competing in the Cyber Athlete Amateur League, CAL, which is what it was called then. We don't really use the term cyber
run to
athlete.
your computer,
we'd be on our computer practicing, but then mom would be like, "Hey, it's dinner time," and you're like, "But I'm in the middle of practice."
Yeah.
And she'd be like, no, you're not. And I'm like, but it's
just playing a video game.
No, it's a scrim, and it's like, so that barrier still exists, right? Where, and I think some of it is, again, just breaking down and being able to communicate between kids and parents on, like, if there's a competitive system within the game they're playing, or if they're on a team and they're competing, we need more education around, again, and a lot of it comes from the benefits and the value, but it's just not as easy, I think, for people to understand that if I'm playing in a comp, or I'm on a team, or I'm practicing and working on my strats, to those kids or those individuals, it's no different than being on a competitive soccer team or baseball team or any of these sports. And that's where we need more education on the competitive side. On the more casual, there was another point brought up, on the more casual kind of social side. I'm gonna call you out for a second. Like, watching Emily start playing Valorant. Oh snap! He's bringing the heat. Watching her start to play Valorant and looking at the people, even in this room, the relationship she's built with Roger or with Kate or with Josh. That's all. And people can say whatever they want. A lot of that was predicated on her becoming interested in video games. Her deciding that was a great barrier. I'm the more extroverted one. Emily's the more introverted, and I've watched in the last 2 years her build some of the most amazing relationships because of video games breaking down that barrier, and I think it's been really amazing. So, when you look at just the social impact, and it's no different from an adult like us at the ages we're at. I won't highlight that, but and the kids we deal with and we work with and we get the opportunity to be with. And so when parents push back on that and they're like, this is bad for any reason, the socialization or the anti-socialization perception, the content within the games, whatever it is, when we present it as bad, we're telling our kids that it's not good, and there's so many benefits that can come from it.
So I'm glad we touched on sort of how, online sports can be sort of, a little toxic, a little out there and things like that. And ways to, sort of cope with it, manage it, and sort of what you do here to help develop, the youth and adults that come through here with everything that's going on. And I'm glad we touched on it, really, really glad. But I want to definitely touch on sort of what you offer here, sort of what is this space? Because I feel like a lot of times when I go out and I say to people, there's this really awesome esports place in Sandy Hook now, Affinity Esports. It's so cool. Like, place is great. Like, just talking about the different rooms and sort of what you guys do and how it's video games and everything like that. And everyone's like, well, like, what kind of is it? And I'm like, well, you can, there's programs and this and that and the other thing. And I feel like people maybe sort of like, they're like, what exactly goes on there? What exactly are the programs? So, whoever wants to talk about it, if you all want to talk about whatever, and yeah, let us know what you got going on here.
Yeah, and it's been an evolution, really. So people can chime in whenever they want.
And a lot of those people who I mentioned to the place, eventually a few weeks later, they'll be like, "Hey, what was that place you were talking about again? That esports place? I wanna, my kid is very interested in it." Because I was talking to Joe Adenito, who owns the JJ Stacks food truck. Yep. I was saying to Joe at the Super Bowl, when I was at his house for the Super Bowl, his kids love to play Fortnite, and one of his kids is really good at Fortnite, really good. And I'm
we have a club team.
You should check out Affinity Esports. And I think it was a few weeks later, he goes, "What's that place again? I want to check it out for my kids." So,
yeah. I think the cycles. It's interesting you say that. The cycles are really long when people hear about us, because we now know. Like, I was buying Girl Scout cookies the other day, and they got 2 boxes out of me. And I was in all my Affinity gear. And it was awesome. I was like,
I have to ask what flavor.
Well, they were for my girls, yeah. So Thin
Oh,
Mints,
okay.
because we have a lactose intolerant daughter.
staple.
Yep, and they don't have dairy.
Okay.
And then the new peanut butter ones. They
Oh,
might
cool.
not be new, but they're new to me.
Oh, cool. All right.
They're like
Wait,
Reese's peanut
Tagalongs?
butter cups.
Oh
Is
my
that what
God,
it
those
is?
have been out for
Yeah, they're
since
great.
I was a Girl Scout.
Tagalongs are great.
Fantastic.
They are not
so
new.
They are really good.
They are delicious, but not new. They are 37 years old.
And then after I finished, they were like, "Hey, don't you guys have an event today?" And I was like, "How do you know that?"
Who are you? Are you
because-
from the future?
Exactly. They got 2 boxes out of me before that. But I think the interesting thing is like we're more known, right, around town. People are
Right.
hearing about it. But I think the cycles are pretty long because, again, there's this kind of strained relationship between, well, this is kind of something they do at home. This isn't something we invest in. And it's not something that they can play before dinner, or they get some screen time, right? We hear that language a lot. So what we started out, and what our original focus here really was to be Connecticut based, like ring fenced in Connecticut, because there's a lot of esports companies that are like, we're going to be regional, or we're going to be national, or we're going to, and again, it's a money grab. It's a land grab. They're trying to make as much money as they can. And for us, it was, well, firstly, Connecticut's, for what we're trying to do, is massive, and it's 2 million plus people, right? And we got started here in Newtown, which is 20 some odd thousand people, right? And we wanted to get it right. So when we started, we wanted to be the framework for competitive gameplay, right? Esports is competitive, organized video games. So that was really the start, was we're going to be the community level framework. And it's not just for kids, it's every generation. But we talk about, like, I used to play pickup soccer in New York, and it was amazing. We were pretty competitive. We got to play with our friends. We'd go out for beer and wings afterwards. It was a huge part of me building relationships as an adult in New York City. But on the kids side, you've got rec baseball, you've got rec basketball, you've got AYSO soccer, all that, right? None of that exists for esports. And so for us, we were going to build that for Connecticut State. And we were going to lean on some of the other national and regional systems that were there, leagues that were in play, all of that, right? But what we found is the first classes we launched were Rocket League classes. Rocket League is car soccer. It's car soccer with anti-gravity cars. It's really amazing.
It's really awesome. I can't get a hang. I am terrible at it.
Oh my God, me too.
But it is like gotta
I
be
am
the game.
god-awful, but
it's gotta be the
it's
game
fun.
that's the most fun to be the
it's so
most
much
bad
fun.
at.
Oh, it's so much fun.
It's so fun, and you can blow other cars up. So it's really cool.
It is fun.
And we had 6 kids in our first class, and I remember just feeling like we had struck gold. There's 6 kids. You know, we've probably serviced over 600 families and young adults and kids that have come through our doors or have taken part in our mobile programming
great.
at this point. But what we realized very early on was that it was a hard sell, like this competitive or the game
I can
based.
imagine.
It big, right?
Yeah.
And so to bring people along the journey, we said, well, what are more of the aspects of gaming and esports that people are interested in? And so we started looking, we ended up with 3 tracks. So when you ask us what we do here, we have game creation, where we look at the computational thinking, we look at coding, we look at the art side of building games, and we really teach a lot of those skills, but again, adjacent to gaming and esports, because kids are building games. They're getting to go through that whole process. And that can be a platformer, and now we're starting to look at things with Unity and Unreal Engine, and so that track is evolving, and there's not a lot of coding options here, right? And parents, that's a buzzword for parents. I don't want to deflate what we're doing, but generally speaking, people really, they were like, well, but are you going to do coding class? I was like, well, we're an esports organization. And so that became a very relevant thing. And once we figured out that, yeah, we can expand to that, we can leverage resources, other organizations or individuals with that skill set, made a lot of sense for us to build that out. So track 1 is game creation.
Sure.
We do content creation. That's our second track. So streaming, we do, it's really about branding, streaming, everything content related. Roger talked about their new media and streaming. We're trying to create that excitement and that energy for the kids in the community. And then the last track is game-based and competition. And so we deliver that in a couple of different ways. We deliver it through after-school classes. We deliver it through summer camps. We do some workshops. We have our mobile solution that's going out to different communities, again, as after-school programs. We do it in studio. And then we have club teams as well. So our club teams operate like traditional sports teams. We probably have north of 50 kids in our competitive system.
Wow.
Yeah. Playing. And I think when we first met, it was like 30.
Yeah.
And we've launched a youth academy to, again, educate parents and
Right.
educate kids on, hey, these are all of the games or titles, right, that you could play, like soccer, basketball, baseball, volleyball. Well, you could play Rocket League or Super Smash or League of Legends or Mobile Legends Bang Bang, whatever it is, right? And the games will change. It's different in the gaming and esports industry because the game modes are kind of set, but there's a developer. It's different than, well, soccer's been around for however many years, or basketball. So that's a little bit of a variable, but a lot of the skills, again, we talk about that they're learning through competing are transferable to so many other parts of life. So those are really our 3 tracks, and then we deliver them through various different programs.
Awesome. And your summer program is coming up.
Summer is coming up,
Yeah.
and we had 121 kids in studio and across a number of mobile programs last year.
Wow.
And that was up from about 25 the summer before.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How many are you expecting this year? Sort of the same or maybe more?
We would imagine. Yeah, we've got our Milford studio coming. So, we had 70, 75 kids in studio last year. The rest were through mobile programs. So I would say we'll be well north of 100 in
Cool.
studio. And then depending on if Milford, we believe it'll be launched by then, but starting a business, running a business has hiccups. That'll be 7 weeks of summer camp there. So we think north of 100 here. We'll have some mobile programs at the art spot.
Absolutely.
And we've got a handful of others coming.
Very cool.
So we could be well over 200
Very
kids
cool.
this summer.
And is that like full day? They're here like all day?
Full day, 30 hours a week,
Gotcha. Okay.
which scares parents. 'Cause they're like 30 hours of screen time.
Yeah.
And I can assure you they're not on screens for 30 hours a day.
Yeah.
We take them outside. We do lunches outside. We do hikes. We play board games. We take breaks to talk about strategy. And every camp is themed differently. Video editing, content creation. We've got Fortnite camp, Valorant camp. So we've got so many different options.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And Fortnite is a lot of fun.
Fortnite is a lot of fun.
Kate's
play
been
it.
learning that lately.
I've been playing some Fortnite lately. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's only been
It's
a few
fun,
years for me
super
right now.
fun.
But I really enjoy it. I really, my buddies and I mostly just, whether it's 2, 3, quad, just, a couple hours at night, whatever. But fun game, and I like how the seasons changed and everything. There's different seasons.
Huge update this week.
Yeah, characters keep and keep things interesting. And I didn't know you could water bend and earth bend and all this
That's
stuff.
right.
So
yes, it's all Avatar: The Last Airbender based
Avatar.
now.
Yeah.
Super
I did
exciting.
Not know that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, it was filling up our car at the gas station today, and right there it was like all the Airbender
Really?
updates, and I'm sitting there like, you got to be kidding.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
right here at the
Yeah.
Shell station.
Yeah.
Like,
No, that's what I did with my youth academy this morning, and one of my kids has
Okay.
he's been playing since the update. He's a
Nice.
very dedicated Fortnite player. He
Awesome.
has big aspirations to join the Fortnite club team, and
Very
he was
cool.
telling me all about the bending. He was like, you may have the fire bending scroll. I will be taking the air bending scroll. This is what we're doing."
Yeah.
He's like, he's a leader.
Earth, air.
Yeah, he is a
That's so
leader.
cool.
He's got leadership potential.
He's got
Yeah, I sometimes like it when people lead, and I just
Oh
fall
my
behind.
gosh,
Like, all right,
yes.
I got your
Yeah.
back. Just show me the way. Show us where
Yeah.
to go. Sometimes I do that, but yeah, it's always nice to have a
Absolutely.
leader.
Absolutely.
So I didn't realize that they had all that new stuff, and so I think it was like the other night. I was trying to send this person back to the lobby, and I'm like, I got you, and I'm like, da 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 da, and then all of a sudden, just gets up, just launches up in the air.
Oh, he just airbends.
And just starts earth and just starting
no.
taking
Oh,
the
no.
earth, starting
All
to
over.
take the earth and just throw it at me.
Anything
all
but
over.
that.
And I'm like, what? And I'm like trying to hit back with a shotgun, and like after 3 times that happened, I
You went back
oh,
to
you
the
got
lobby.
conked with a
And
rock.
I was like, wait, what? You can throw the earth? Like it just I just didn't look I didn't look into it before the new update before I went into it, and I'm just like, wow, that's cool. And then I started using it, and then I'm like, and I was doing the same thing back to people, and I'm like, this is great.
It's crazy.
This is awesome.
You touched on a really interesting term there. You said it's great when somebody jumps in and leads.
Yeah.
And all the way from our adult groups that play casually through to our kids, we watch these leaders, kind of build up at the collegiate level with Roger. I mean, he's got people in his program who play on the athletic side of things, but also on the esports side.
Yeah.
And how important is leadership? Oh my gosh. And a lot of people don't see it, but even in our adult pickup, like we have it. And Kate, fantastic leader.
Oh my gosh. I had to IGL. IGL means in-game leader.
Okay.
For those who are like me, not necessarily in the know with the acronyms.
Yeah, please break it down. Yeah.
I had to IGL a couple comp matches last night because we lost our
it.
normal fearless leader. We had too many people. We had to split into multiple groups, and I had to IGL. Okay. And one match I'm going to say went really well, and the other one went really fun. We did not win, but we had a great time.
We had a great time. But Kate did an amazing job.
Thank you. Leading's hard.
Yeah.
It's
stressful.
not easy. I wouldn't even say stressful. I have the privilege of playing with people who are really kind and aren't going to hold it against me if I mess up. But trying to like, just keep track of everything and like
figure out where the best spot is.
You know, I love to just follow someone in and like not have to think about it and be like, I'll just do my job, W, and then like I hit my targets. Right?
Just stay out of the storm and keep following them.
But no, then when someone like the next round is like, where were the other team members playing? I'm like, I don't know. What? Ew, I have to pay attention to that.
There's a lot to track, isn't it?
It's a lot.
There's this post on LinkedIn from it's one of the C-level executives from our pro organization called Ninjas in Pajamas. Now,
great name.
Love the name.
Solid
Name's fantastic. But he puts a lot of great content out, and in one of his posts, he actually, Jonas Gunderson's his name, he lists out everything, and this is just one game, in Counter-Strike or in Valorant, all the things that a player needs to learn. And at the end of all of it, he kind of maps it all out. It's a really well-written post, really articulating what it takes. And he's like, tell me these aren't the business leaders of tomorrow. Because at the end of the day, it just to be a player on a high-level team, the amount of call-outs you have to learn, the communication on the different maps, and all this lingo, right, that might not make sense to people, but it's like you have to learn so much. You have to be on top of it. You have to be able to communicate. And so I always challenge people, it doesn't matter what game they're playing on screen, just go to an event, go to a tournament, and just listen to what the players are doing. When you watch Rocket League players or Counter-Strike or Valorant and you watch the crispness of their communication, Fortnite, any game, tell me that that's not exceptional. And tell me that when you watch, whether it's your kids at home, and you just listen through, you know, maybe there's an inappropriate word here or there, they should work on that. But like, listen to what they're actually saying when they're taking it really seriously. How is that not valuable in the professional world? And I've got to say, we've got quite the leader behind the camera here, too.
Yeah, we do.
He picks up the IGL sticks sometimes.
It's great. Yeah, and it's funny how you mention that because, like, you know, a lot of times when I play with my friends, it's a lot of strategy. It's a lot of who's going to do what, whose role is what. So, like, I got one friend who's like, all right, I'm going to carry pots of shield. Who's going to carry med kits? And then, like, your job is just try to get as many of those as you can so that when you get into a big fight and we end up coming out on top, we can just start, you know, the guys I play with, they're so on top of it. They're looking to see your health bar, and if you're low on shield, they just drop it and say, "Here it is," and ping it, and then you're like, "Oh, thanks!" Like, and then boom, you got shield. You're all good to go. So yeah, the teamwork and just knowing how to be, to not be selfish, knowing to share, like,
playing for your teammates.
Yeah, literally sharing something that you collected so that your team can continue on.
When I was,
it's so translatable. It's not even funny.
Unbelievable. When I was playing Counter-Strike during the pandemic, I referenced that earlier. My favorite thing was learning how to play for other people. What do you need to be successful? Can I throw a flashbang here?
It's actually more
so that
rewarding.
you can. It's unbelievable,
to help your
right?
teammates than to just be the one who like tries to do it all.
So we've got a lot of the kids on our teams, they sort of play for themselves, and so we try to work on how do you remove yourself, and kind of that ego. How do you check your ego at the door? How do you play for other players? And again, like all of these skills. You look at the working world. How many days like you go to work every day, you're solving problems. And so again, transferable skills. It's just unbelievable. And learning how to be selfless and play for the people around you.
Yeah.
And the kids are capable of it, like before you'd think. You know, we have 8-year-olds that are able to like think proactively about what their team needs to be successful. 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, more than what they need to have a good score line. It's kind of remarkable. It takes a little work to get them to the place where they're motivated to do that, but like they're able to. Yeah, they've got it in them.
Yeah, you win. I win so much more when it's a team thing and not people going off in their own directions. Yeah, and it's fantastic. Well, I'm glad we touched on, you know, sort of what you do here, how you got started, you know, trying to, you know, handle and deal with the toxicity that can live on online and in esports and stuff. So I feel like maybe we should just have a little fun, you know, talk about sort of like how much we love video games and what video games got us started, and, you know, just having like a little more of a fun conversation sort of about, what they mean to us and how they played maybe a role in our lives and developing us, or maybe just, when we were in a tough spot, we needed something to play or something to blow off steam. And because that's a lot of the time I look at video games like, I had a long day at work and, man, I just want to sit in front of my TV and play my character in MLB The Show and hit a bunch of home runs and work my way up to the big leagues, even though it's not real. And I feel like sometimes a lot of people are like, man, you just, that's not even real. And you just like, you're living this like alternate life. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's how you sort of escape reality when you have tough days and tough situations, and which is huge.
Yeah, it's like reading a book.
And I definitely wanted the doctors in the building, so I definitely want to talk to Dr. Karamenika about that. But
no pressure.
Yeah. So I mean, so yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So we talk about what games we got started with, right? The first console I owned was the original NES, right? But I started playing on a 2600, right? Yes, I'm older, Mark. Yes. Yeah. But so, I've played games forever. And when I was going after my PhD and I was getting into emotional intelligence, I saw this, all the different skill sets that, you employed while you were playing games, right? And, all these different things. And, when we talk about like social games, right? So we've talked a lot about competitive, right? And you made me laugh because I taught a class last week and I literally, the way you framed competitive esports is exactly how I frame it. Yeah. You would think we planned it. But if we go onto the other side of the social play, there's, escapism. Like we think about when we read or watch movies, why do we escape, right? We do it to maybe de-escalate our stress hormones. We do it to just get away from a negative home situation, or maybe we do it because it uplifts us, right? There's all kinds of emotional reasons why we do it. And the social side of gaming, that's what I love. You can get into a Minecraft, Stardew, Roblox. Mark's talked about his after school and the camps, right? That's the other side, is even if you don't want to get into competitive, there's so much to do there. And the same things we talk about of communication and positive behaviors can be found there as well, and the stakes are lower, right? So my son, I have a 16 and 12-year-old sons. My son started his first Minecraft server recently, and I'm watching him be the server admin and do all these things as a leader, right? And this is just a chill game. They're just building their houses.
So popular.
But he's dealing with stuff like somebody raided chests. Somebody went to the dragon before the group decided. And these group dynamics, the leadership acumen of like, well, you did something that I'm not happy with, right? And that's just in a social game, so it exists there as well. And to the point where you'll appreciate this. He had to stop playing Minecraft to go play competitive COD, right? So he's into COD these days, and he's like, I gotta go play some COD. It's too stressful. Minecraft, right? So he's walking away from a cozy game to go play something competitive.
Cozy game, yes.
Games stress me.
Right? And so
Are you a min-maxer?
No, he just doesn't. He hasn't tried cozy games. But so it all exists there as well, right? It all exists there as well for opportunities, especially if you're playing with other people. And early research, some of the early research on games were negative because it wasn't actually scholarly research. And now that we're starting to see scholarly research, come to the fore, we're starting to see the perceptions we had about gaming were all wrong.
Oh yeah.
Right. You can build really great relationships through even cozy games, right? Especially in games that you have, a group server or something like that, or just something that you enjoy, right? We were talking about some mobile games earlier, right? Watching people that maybe didn't game in the past or weren't into gaming get into it because it's accessible. Right. And that's what I think excites me about that aspect of the game is, I'll be perfectly honest. I had a bad mental health day yesterday. And so I ended up playing 9 hours of Stardew Valley, which is the most cozy game out there.
That's awesome.
And I use that to balance myself. And, I think there's just so much to be said for that side of the space as well. You have a bad day after school, you come into Affinity, you get on Roblox and you just, run around for a little bit. You get on Minecraft and build a house, right? So there's that side of the gaming space is, a lot to offer as well.
My favorite cozy game is Grand Theft Auto now.
So cozy. The coziest.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
Is that one I can play?
You can play.
Yeah.
Look, the role play community in Grand Theft Auto is fantastic.
It is.
If you haven't watched, there's so
people
many.
make like literal like videos on YouTube
Yeah.
of them like just pretending different scenarios and situations.
Oh yeah, so there's a couple of really amazing roleplay communities out there for Red Dead, Grand Theft Auto.
So
and some take it really serious where you have to apply to be a police officer in game.
No
And you have to go through an interview. It's
I did not
but
know that.
it builds community. Right. It builds this level of community. And to Mark's point earlier about like the skill sets you're learning, I watched my 16-year-old play. There was a grocery store game that I forget what the name of it was, but he's playing this grocery store. It's a sim, right? And he's learning supply and demand, price fluctuations, paying wages. He's learning all these things, and I'm like, holy cow, that's like an entry-level business class he's learning right now. So it's kind of wild.
Has he played Power Wash Simulator?
I was going to say
everybody.
Power Wash
satisfying.
Simulator was a free game of the month for PlayStation.
So
a couple months
satisfying.
ago, and I got it, and I'm like, man, this does show you hard work, because it literally took me an hour to do this backyard.
5
It took me
hours
like
later.
an hour to do a backyard.
Yeah.
And I
But
like looked
isn't
at
it
the time, and I'm like,
satisfying?
But this time of year, you have to. Your power wash simulator is actually
something.
power
I feel
washing.
like I'm gonna clean the
My family-
crap out of this porch right now.
my family owns a
Yeah.
power wash company in Georgia. So I always think like, man, what would my cousin think of this? He would probably get, or my uncle, they'd probably get such a kick out of it that people literally play it in a video game. But I mean, I had the farm simulator was free 1 month, so I got that.
That's a great game too.
That is wild.
I have a story about Power Wash Simulator.
It's a lot of work.
So the Power Wash Simulator game, you talk about the skills we want them to learn, right? So again, my little ones, my 12-year-old, he's playing Power Wash Sim with a buddy. And I heard it, and I just like had one of those dad moments where he goes, and I won't say the buddy's name, but he's like, buddy, if you're gonna do the job, do it right.
No.
And so he's
Wow.
on Discord
Management.
saying you are responsible for the underside of the
Absolutely.
storefront. And I'm checking and it's not there, and I'm like, oh, I have a little manager in my hands. But the
White
skill
glove.
set he's learning, he's like, if you're gonna do it right, we're not gonna get full
Gonna be
value
the
for
CEO
this.
of a major corporation.
But so when we talk about that, are these skills translatable?
Yeah.
There's 1,000 stories like this with any game, competitive or social. They exist.
Yeah. There's a discount on the lawn mowing simulator.
Stop.
I'm kind of interested.
Oh,
no. That sounds so sad.
Make some beautiful diamonds
But
on
yeah.
a big expensive lawn.
Yeah, the whole simulating thing was interesting. When truck simulator is huge. I used to follow a couple people on Twitch who just drove trucks all over.
Oh, I am not familiar with that
I
one.
don't know that
Semis.
Yeah.
He'd be like, "Well, I'm picking up a load and I'm bringing it down to
That community's real big.
down to this other state, and literally it takes like a couple hours for him to like get to where he's going." And I was like,
one. Pit stops.
"Yeah," and
way
he's got the whole
stations.
setup. It
Wow.
looks like he's actually sitting in the cockpit of a truck.
Oh, that's crazy.
It looks real, like on his camera on Twitch. But-
How much more translatable though from like real simulations of how much more translatable can it get from a real simulation
Not
in
at
a
all.
real industry?
Not at all.
And like we recently spoke at like young achievement, and I watched one of the early videos, and it was on a truck driver who was actually talking about what it takes to run his own kind of small business and pick up and deliver. And it's like these simulators exist, and you learn about real things. And the other thing. I was talking to a mother the other day. She said, well, my daughter's in a horse camp now. And I don't even know the name of the game, but she started on mobile by playing one of the games that teaches you about all the terminology. The equestrian, yeah, everything. And she went into this horse camp knowing way more than the other kids did because she was doing that.
Yeah, and corporations have spent decades trying to spend money to build training platforms that emulate games. And, I talk to, people within industry, and I say, just go find the game that translates. Don't go try to recreate it. Just go find the game that translates. There's something that exists out there that you look at the skills that you want in the corporate world and wherever it may be. Go find the game that translates, and they exist. And I think that the kind of the corporate training space is starting to catch wind of that a little bit.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to play a game that isn't fun to play, and but go find the one that is out there.
I should start a game called Corporate Paralegal, which is what I do.
Oh yeah.
I
used
used what
to-
it's like.
I
I
used to
bet
play
you-
a game named Aerobiz where you built an airplane business that was on Super
really?
Nintendo.
I'd be willing to bet that there's a game that exists
Yeah.
out there. I bet if we did a quick search, we'd find some kind of legal. I mean,
could see
Papers, Please is a game for people crossing borders, so that game exists. There's probably a game that
Probably.
mimics the legal world.
Probably. Yeah.
Read this contract.
Yeah.
Redline it.
Find
Yeah.
the errors.
Just kidding. You're actually an employee, and you read a contract and redlined it. It wasn't the game. This is your job.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy. But Kate, talk to me a little bit about what was the first system you ever played growing up? And
Oh my God.
What are some games that made your childhood, made you stoked to come home from school and play, or
All right.
and got you into the really into video games?
Kate's gaming origin story begins
So excited.
at the age of 5 with a Nintendo.
I was
NES.
carrying a torch into a cave and I found it.
Basically, I am that old. So we used to, not me, my mom was a gamer, I guess. Yeah, you'd say
Cool.
she was a gamer. She used to go to the local supermarket, like not a Blockbuster, off-brand Blockbuster, rental store, and rent video games and bring them home and just try them out. So we had the Little Mermaid game for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Okay.
And the controller was like, I was like, I'm going to play, right? We'd all collect around the TV. So it was like my mom, my brother, and me. We were all around the TV. And I was watching them play. And I was like, I want to play. I'm 5. I want to play. They hand me the remote. I swim along, and then like a blowfish or whatever comes from the other side. It's a platformer.
Right.
And a blowfish comes out, and you're supposed to dodge it or whatever. And I just scream and like chuck the controller and like peace out. And that's Kate's gaming origin story. I just ran.
Got you. No worries.
But my mom was really into games. She was a stay-at-home mom. She played like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and I just watch her. And she'd be doing all the stuff, right? And then she'd like, it was puzzles. I don't know. It's Zelda. And she'd be like, I don't know what to do. And I'd be like, oh, you need to go, because I'm just watching, right? And I'm just gathering information. I'm like, you need to go over there and press this button and go into there and throw a bomb here. And she's like, oh, okay. And then she
In-game
started.
leader.
Yes, I can't. Those who can't do teach, and it's me. And then she started playing Final Fantasy VII. So we've fast forwarded a few years here to the advent of the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII, absolutely brilliant game. Like definitely the most formative game for me growing up. But again, I really liked watching my mom play. So like the kids now, they just watch people play on YouTube. Like that was me.
Yeah.
I just didn't have YouTube. I just had like my mom and my brother.
Right.
But my mom, she, I don't know if anyone's ever played this game, but towards the end, it's a big open world game, and there's just a billion side quests you can do of varying difficulty. So there's some easy ones. You could like race your chocobos and make a gold chocobo and get some special magic. And if you are really crazy, you can do all these side quests, line them up, and then fight an extremely difficult boss. And my mom was like, I'm going to do that. It was a whole summer. It was months. It was probably 6 months of the workup to fighting Emerald Weapon. And it was like this Pacific Rim looking underwater dude. You had to go underwater. You had to get like a special magic book to turn the underwater timer off because you couldn't breathe or who knows. And he had just an insane amount of health. And then like randomly he just like one shot the whole party. Everyone dies. So you need to have the materia combo to like come back to life. It was ridiculous. But I watched my mom over the course of months just like plan it out and plot it out and like get it done. And she beat Emerald Weapon like she did it. It's a cool thing to watch your mom do. Like she's very
really
dedicated to it. My dad plays games too. My brother plays games. Like everyone's
cool.
a gamer, but like my mom was the gamer,
Right.
That's awesome.
She was the role model.
That's really cool. Yeah. My parents never played video games. My mom would every once in a while. I would like come on, like play this like baseball game or basketball or like whatever, something, something like that. And every once in a while, but my sister and I mostly we'd play a lot of Mario Party on GameCube and Super Smash and Mario Kart, the staples. And I don't really think my sister plays video games anymore, but we had a Wii and stuff like that, so that was cool, like Wii Bowling and Wii Tennis and all that when that came out, which is fun. That's like a whole nother story because when we got the Wii, it was one of the last few left at the Danbury Mall at the time when it was like really popular, and armed security had to walk my aunt out of the building. She found it. My parents wanted my sister and I to have it for our gift for Christmas one year. I think it was like the year the year it came out. And I remember my aunt found it and she's like, I got it, I bought it, and I'm armed security had to walk me out of Danbury Mall and everything. It was like one of the last ones they had, and like all these people knew it. and I was like, wow, like that's pretty wild. But yeah, no, it's just good times playing with my sister and stuff, and for me really it was GameCube, like I said. I mean, I played a lot of Nintendo 64 growing up at my friend's house, and I always wanted to go hang out with my friends that had Nintendo 64, of course, and my mom knew that. She knew that most of the time when I wanted to go to these my friends' houses, it was because they had N64, and I loved playing Mario Kart, of course, and Super Smash, and Mario 64, and of course playing GoldenEye.
Yes.
GoldenEye was huge.
That's a classic game.
Huge.
And Perfect
Yeah.
Dark. Played a lot of Perfect Dark too.
Yeah.
Which when I look back, I missed that game. Perfect Dark was a lot of fun. And of course Zelda and stuff like that. And a couple baseball games that were on N64, but mostly GameCube. Mostly like playing. We played a lot of. Well, Mario Kart, like Double Dash, and the new Super Smash that came out, Melee, and yeah, and like Mario Party. Mario Party was really big. That was really big. And then there was a Mario Party that they did with Namco. Namco came out with their own Mario Party. We had that one, style of Mario Party. We had that one too. And yeah, just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Tony Hawk Underground.
Tony Hawk, yes.
Tony Hawk Underground. I loved it, and
it's a great game.
I wish I still had all that stuff because I play it constantly. But yeah, Tony Hawk Underground was so good. It was the best. And one game that gave me a major headache growing up, and one game that I absolutely loved playing growing up, was Super Mario Sunshine. That game was so well done. Looking back on it, it was just such a really awesome game for the time and everything, and definitely one of those legendary games. But yeah, just for me, that's kind of what it was for me. And then I went to Xbox 360. Then I had the Xbox One, and then for some reason, I think it was mostly because a lot of my Xbox friends kind of left Xbox or just weren't playing as much, and I had new friends that were all on PlayStation. So they're like, you gotta get a PlayStation. So then I got PlayStation 4, and now I have the 5. So I like PlayStation a lot. I do. No, I have no hate against Xbox, but I've been enjoying the PlayStation. So, what about you? What are some games, some systems and games growing up that you were really into?
So, if someone were to ask me, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, if I was a gamer growing up, I would have said no. Like, I'm not a gamer. But I go back and think about it, and I was like 1,000% a gamer. I would say we had a Gateway computer.
Gateway? Yeah. With the cow
family-
box.
The family. I was so excited with the cow box.
The cow
I thought it was
box.
the coolest
It's a
thing.
great day when the cow box comes in.
Yeah, our Gateway computer. And with the purchase of this computer, we had a bunch of different games. And we had Carmen Sandiego,
Where
like
in the
Word
World?
Detective.
That is
Where
a
in the World is
great
Carmen
game.
Sandiego?
Oh, I played that a lot on
it was
PC.
Yeah.
that game.
Yeah,
It's such
that's right.
a fun game.
Where in the world is
Sorry.
Carmen Sandiego? Wow.
Where
that
in the
brings-
world is Carmen
Can't get
Sandiego?
wrong.
And what's the game with it's a car and he like talks and stuff? Oh man.
Knight Rider?
No, it's like a kid's game. It's this car who talks. I forget. Oh man, purple car and he talks and you can go around
my
town.
gosh.
Used to play that a lot at the Siege Booth Library. Shout out to Siege Booth Library here in Newtown. But yeah.
So I played a lot of that, and then I had a Game Boy and a Game Boy Color, and I played a lot of Pokemon. And oh yeah, I was so into Pokemon. Me and my brother and my sister, we loved playing Pokemon. Played Zelda, Legends of Zelda.
Oh, I should have said Pokemon.
Yeah,
On the Game Boy.
Oh my
That's how
god, I played
yep.
so much Game Boy, and of course like the Barbie PC games and like things like that. But I would have
Nice.
never thought like, oh, that's a gamer game. It's I don't know. And then Sims, and then I did a lot of board games, and then there was the mobile games, and then I met Mark, and I was like, I'm so not a gamer. I don't get it. Like, what even is this?
You said I tricked you.
He did. So when I met Mark, he was like a soccer player in college, and
He made you believe.
He made me believe. He took me on this journey, and we met in color class. And he's
Psych, I'm a gamer.
yeah,
9 years later.
Yeah.
you know, and not.
Wait till it's too long for
We
anyone to
were
wanna part
married,
ways.
and like a baby was already here, and I was like, I can't do anything about it now. It's happened. So, and then Mark's like, this is my game of choice, and I love it. And I was like, good for you. Have fun. I'm going to bed. And then he's like, you need to try it. just try it, get on. And he put me on Valorant. It was a newer game at the time. And I was like, I don't get it. This is all you do is you just run and you plant and then you just
I'd like
stand
us
there?
to have a little flashback to Emily's beginning of Valorant and the screaming.
Oh, she screamed a lot.
I have
There's a lot of like jump scares.
I have
and
a lot of
she
anxiety.
screamed.
I'm not good with that either.
And
It's
it
amazing.
scares me. And I will still from time to time yelp. And
Well, now it just adds color.
so yeah, and then Mark's like, I think you'd really enjoy it. And I was like, all right, I'll get into this. I'll try it out. And I was like, shit, I actually like it. I'm sorry, language. Shoot, I actually like it.
Spicy
Sorry, so
words.
many
Oh yeah, no
bleeps.
one ever swears on this podcast.
I'm so sorry.
Never.
I have a potty. And then I was like, I guess I'm a gamer. I always have been, always will be. I love games.
I got to get my girlfriend a game because she doesn't. I think that's the next step.
Give her
We
to
can
us.
help with that.
I
Send her.
yeah.
I think she's
Give her
gonna
to
be-
us. Yeah.
She's
Send
gonna be
her
very
here.
reluctant.
Don't give them.
She's always just-
you'll
We're
all
so
start her on
fun.
Valorant.
No. We
No.
find something better.
No, we'll put her on a cozy game.
She's got to go with
Yeah.
Like Stardew Valley.
Name 4 cozy games. Mark.
Stardew Valley, GTA 5, Sims 4,
Stellaris.
and then there's a space version of
Timberborn.
Timberborn.
I play a post-apocalyptic.
You're
It's a
phoning a friend, I love it.
post-apocalyptic beaver city building.
Timberborn
game.
is very cool. It's Sims with beavers. Yeah, it's cool.
Oh, okay.
It's post-apocalyptic. That's
Interesting.
important.
I wouldn't
The
tell
humans
I
are gone.
played Return to Monkey Island
All right.
when I was a kid.
All right, that
Nailed
works.
it.
Pirate one, too.
Sea of Thieves.
Return to Monkey Island.
Sea of Thieves is that's trauma inducing.
Oh, it is. No.
We didn't get that far.
Look, we
we just crashed our boat.
We did.
All I can think is Monkey Ball. Remember Monkey Ball?
Yeah.
No.
Never played Monkey
That's
Ball.
an old school game.
Monkey
yeah.
Ball, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So what games did you start on?
Yeah.
Counter-Strike.
No. It was definitely. So I was talking to my parents about this and Emily, and I think my girls were in the room, and I was like, I think that. So for starters, I was. This predates that story, but I was going to be in a wedding. I was going to be the ring bearer, and I'm told this because I don't remember it, but I was throwing a fit. I was like, listen, I'm not doing it. I was probably 2 or 3 years old. I was like, I'm not doing it. And I think it probably didn't sound like that. It was probably a lot more kicking and screaming like what our 2-year-old does, right? But I was like, I'm not doing it. And my mom was like, Scott, he's my older brother, 8.5 years difference. She was like, do something. And he was like, looking at his Game Boy. And this was not the Game Boy Color that was at an acceptable size. This was the large
The big
original
gray one.
Game Boy.
The original, the OG,
Yeah.
the one I had.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one.
There's no
They
Game
came
Boy
out
Advance.
shortly after the Atari. and so he gave me his Game Boy. And it worked. I walked down the aisle. I said, I'm not doing it. They're like, you're doing it. And if you do it, you can have this Game Boy. So I got the Game Boy. So I started with that, and I played a lot of Game Boy. I'm sure Metroid and any other, like I don't remember a lot of it, but I know like that was where it started for me, was with the Game Boy. And a lot of those were cozy games.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I should have said that too. Game Boy was the
Yeah.
first. It wasn't GameCube. It was Game Boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that was, and honestly, until I became a junior in high school, junior, senior, it was the only console we ever had. Which I guess it's a handheld, right? It's not really a console, but it was the only thing that wasn't a PC.
Right.
So Game Boy was where it started, and then I explained a little bit of this before. It progressed to, for me, we were never a console family. We had PCs in the house. So I was telling this story the other day. Our daughter got her first Scholastic book fair magazine. I was like,
Oh, man.
I
They
kid
still
you
do
not?
Scholastic books?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like,
yes.
I
Brings me back.
think. I
That
think
brings
I
me
got.
back.
I think I got StarCraft, and like I've had to like wrap my head around this. I was like, I'm pretty sure I got StarCraft through the book club, book fair, the Scholastic book fair, thing, and I'm like, that can't be right. No, I think and StarCraft was one of my first games, and so then I Googled it, found a Reddit forum, and I was like, oh my gosh, I definitely did.
Yeah, you did.
Because I read somebody else's story about how
Oh my God.
and how intelligent Scholastic was for putting these games in, for how much they teach people. But at the same time, it was a T for teen title, and I couldn't have been older than third or fourth grade. But boy, was it fun. So I fell in love with Warcraft 3. We were playing Warcraft 2 or 1 in the elementary schools. It was some of these games were installed on the PCs in elementary. So I started kind of with Game Boy, Warcraft. We had the PC at home, got StarCraft. those are real-time strategies. Fell in love with RTSs, but it really blew up for me with Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six in like 97, 98. And then I got onto Counter-Strike, which was a Half-Life mod at the time, which was a standalone game, and somebody, through their creativity and genius, built this mod that became one of the most popular games in the world. And we have so many examples: Dota, Half-Life to Counter-Strike, Warcraft 3 to Dota, which these are game modes all in and of themselves. So for me, it was Counter-Strike that I really fell in love with. I had always loved games, but Counter-Strike, I played competitively. But I was never a console player. I would go to friends' houses and I thought they were the coolest thing. I wanted one. My parents refused. Every Christmas, I'd be like trying to pull the package back. I'd be like, "This is like an Xbox size. It's gonna be an Xbox, right?" And I'd pull the package back to try and see. Like I'd pull just between the tape on the wrapping. They got me a blender one year. It wasn't an Xbox, which I think was a really self-serving. It was a really self-serving gift. It was not. They got me a blender. I like smoothies. I don't know. What to tell you. It was not an Xbox.
They got you a blender.
But my friends, like, so some of the Xbox games, GoldenEye, like you said, or like the console games, GoldenEye. Oh my gosh, probably where I got into FPSs, and I probably just don't realize it. Wave Runner 64.
Oh, Wave Runner. Yeah.
Oh, that one was so fun. Yes.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater, like just grinding on the pipes, and then it was just such. We would rent these games at the local TV. Like we had Main Street in Stevenson. We'd go down. We get to pick our game. It wasn't Blockbuster. It was a local
off-brand Blockbuster.
This is probably before Blockbuster took over.
Main Street's still there. They're not renting out videos anymore. I'll tell you that much. So, had a lot of those experiences, and I still tend to prefer tactical FPS shooter style games.
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
And Counter-Strike, I think the statute of limitations has run out on this, so I think I can say this now. So back when I was at Newtown High, back 2006 to 2010, basically, I shouldn't have said years. But no, when I was going to Newtown High during that period of my high school years, they had computer labs, and I shouldn't say kid, I should say more of a legend. Somehow went into one of the computer labs and was able to upload Counter-Strike to every computer and every.
So you were playing
lab.
on LAN.
So.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, when we would have computer lab days, because computer lab used to be like a class that you would take. You would go to the computer lab and work on different things and everything. There was a way where you could log into some folder that they had, I guess, didn't really know about, and just be able to pull up Counter-Strike and run it with anyone else who was in that room at the time playing it too.
So the teacher's teaching class.
The teachers
you guys are fragging.
They caught on because someone would win, they'd be like, and teachers like what? And like, no, and then
you noob.
The teacher would walk around and make sure that we were doing what we were
Alt
supposed
tab. You
so
gotta
we
minimize.
changed it. Yeah, so we someone would teach us how to minimize things and bring this up. And there was always a couple kids who weren't quick with it. I think one time.
But you were nice to them about it.
I think
right?
one time I was so locked in I didn't realize the teacher came over, and he had been standing behind me for a minute, just waiting for me to recognize he was there.
He was like, "Your crosshair placement is on point,
You're like,
bro."
I'm on a multi-kill right now.
You know what they would do?
I'm godlike.
They would basically disable. They'd go up to the front of the room and disable your computer from being able to be used the whole rest of the class. And they'd write you up, and then usually in the when your parent-teacher conference, they bring it up. He's not doing what he's supposed to. He's playing Counter-Strike.
Was that Source or 1.6?
What was that?
Was that Counter-Strike Source or 1.6?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But I just remember playing it. I remember being like, "What is this?" And we're doing this. Is it that we can do this? And then I remember eventually, a year or two after that, it got phased out. They figured out how to clamp down on it. And I actually think I know who uploaded it, but I'm not 100% sure, so I won't say his name. But
they were goated.
But he was in my grade, and he would be the right person.
Probably a legend now.
I love this. They could have done it like a Newtown High documentary.
And I doubt we were the only computer lab in any. I'm sure other.
Yeah, that was happening.
No. So when I was in high school, I left a few out. They also did. We were playing on, we say LAN, local area network, right?
Yeah.
But and I left this out too. This is totally inappropriate, but I'm gonna have to share it. At our local pizza place in my small town of 1,400 people, they had. Now everybody's looking at this gaming facility. What would have been sort of the equivalent then with the gateway machines. They had 5 in the back.
Yeah.
Nice.
They had Quake, and Duke Nukem 3D,
Yes.
Wolfenstein. So that was my first
We're
experience
going
in
way
my
back. That's awesome.
hometown.
Yeah.
Was I think playing Duke Nukem, which if you look it up is not again an appropriate game, but it was amazing, and I had a lot of fun with it. And then at the high school, like I said, at elementary school, we had, we had like the Oregon Trail. And we had Warcraft 1 or 2.
Oregon Trail.
Oh my god!
Oregon
And
Trail
we
is
were
super fun.
we were on the Oregon Trail.
Talk about goated game.
Right. Yeah, I was in the Columbia
That's all
River
there was
Gorge,
back
man.
then.
Yeah, this was like real life.
Oh, I
for
never
us.
made it that far.
We were learning history.
I don't know if I ever made it to the Mississippi,
You
if
get
I'm honest.
dysentery and you're done.
You're done.
Yeah, the rattlesnake got you.
When your
Carmen,
ox-
San
when
Diego.
your ox,
So,
crumbles.
So yeah, Quake and Doom as well. So I think those were on the high school machines, and we were loading those up in any of the rooms with computers. I mean, amazing. And Unreal Tournament. I'll throw the last
Unreal
one in.
Tournament. I remember when I came here to visit you. I'm like, I remember watching X Play.
Yeah.
And watching what's the tech the website with not the website, the TV channel with like video games and stuff. What is it called? G-Force
G4?
or G4 or G4, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, they used to have X Play where they review video games and show you like reviews like way before
Unreal Tournament
you could just
was
watch it
out of
yourself.
control.
And they had this other show, and I can't remember what it was, but they would have 3 to 4 gamers, and they'd all compete in 3 different like styles of video games, and one of them was Capture the Flag Unreal Tournament.
So good.
And they would put them in like these VR things, and it was like crazy. It was the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the Seal one too. Seal.
Was that,
There's an old Seal something game. Seal something. That was also really popular.
I'm
that they
imagining
were playing as
actual
well.
seals. Like,
Yeah, Navy SEAL.
SOCOM,
no,
was it?
Navy
SOCOM?
SEALs. Yeah, I think it
Oh,
was
Seal-
SOCOM.
SEAL Comp
I think
6?
it was. I think it was.
SOCOM was the
I think
yeah.
it was SOCOM. There, that's what it was. Yeah.
Real seals are better.
And and it's funny when people say COD, I think of the fish. I'm like COD, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Call
of Duty. I mean,
Like,
it's
yeah.
the terminology in the
Yeah.
industry.
Wait, can we have a brief? I just have to tell you this really funny story.
Yeah.
Speaking of sexism in gaming, I was at a party once with some other people of my same age, and I heard someone say crosshair, and I was like, wait, what? So I sidled on over to a pair of gentlemen that were very clearly talking about video games. And I said, what games are you talking about? And they go, nothing you've heard of.
Oh man.
Oh.
Yeah, just because you're a woman, you don't know.
Yeah, and I
about
said,
video
why don't you
games.
try me? I'm a
Yeah.
professional. And they said, wait for it.
Yeah.
Really niche games here. Call of Duty and World of Warcraft
Yeah, because nobody's heard of those
are
games.
some games
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of. And this was last year. This was like within the last year.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah,
Pun
'cause even if you
intended.
don't play them, you know what they are. You know the
COD.
commercials
I
are on
play
TV
COD.
a lot.
Okay.
And they're extremely popular. Yeah, extremely popular.
Oh.
So. Wow.
Sorry.
That like being someone being like, do you know what Fortnite is? It's like, yeah, it's
You
literally
clearly haven't
everywhere.
heard of Fortnite.
But it's really interesting. On another note, how far gaming has come to where nowadays there's individuals that are getting paid tons of money to be a pro gamer just to play video games every day. Which I shouldn't say just, because it's hard work. I mean, a lot goes into it, and the training that goes into it. And now they're basically just constantly working on their craft and stuff, and seeing it where you have professional sports teams, such as I'm pretty sure the Mets own an esports team. I'm pretty sure I'm pretty positive there's some other, possibly the Yankees. I don't know. I know there's a few sports organizations or owners of sports organizations that own esports teams. And I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Yeah, so
and a lot of these guys play in legit arenas and run out of a tunnel of smoke to sit at their computer and play. And it's just crazy how far it's come. And I'm here for it.
Well, the pro scene has been really interesting. People will talk about the fact that we're in an esports winter, right? So the pro scene got really exciting and really big, and it's going through a course correction right now, right? But I don't think that it's going anywhere, because people realize the collegiate space, the K through 12 space is really exciting, but it absolutely exists. You talked about, traditional sports teams. A lot of the traditional sports teams have some arm, right, that they'll create, especially if it's something that has a title that's translatable, right? So the NBA Players Association signed a contract with NBA 2K for that relationship, right? Post University is one of the only universities that have our logo in 2K, because we have a relationship with the Connecticut Sun, and you can play in the WNBA, right? So you have all these relationships that do exist. So a lot of the pro teams, they saw that, they leaned into it, because these kids that are not playing traditional sports, they're playing video games, like we talked about, right? So there's a lot of exciting stuff out there.
Yeah.
But again, the pro scene it's got a lot of growth ahead of it in terms of trying to figure it out, because the whole ecosystem went from kind of 0 to 1 million overnight, right? It's been around for a very long time, but we talked about VC money and a while ago, Mark's stance on that. People that didn't know about the ecosystem got into it and started investing in it, and it was exciting. Now we have a couple of years of stabilization ahead of us.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. But these stories of initial games were like, just tell me how old I am, right? I played on the Apple IIe, right? So that my computer, there was an Apple IIe that I was excited to have. Yeah.
Is that
That's awesome.
The really colorful Apple?
Oh, I love those.
No, that's the original
Those are so
Apple
pretty.
IIe that was one of the most best-selling computers on the face of the planet for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Because in my day, back in my day,
Back in my
you talk
day.
about computer class. When I was in school, we would transition from when you'd have typing class. So you would actually have a typing class.
Is that a typewriter?
We had that in elementary school.
Yeah, and so
I had typing class too.
that's when it switched over.
I know. He said yes by candlelight.
We had typewriters.
All right.
That's
so
the way
bad.
it was. Is I remember when we had the Apple IIes be brought in, right? And we were so excited and playing Oregon Trail, playing those, and there was a lot of like games like Number Crunchers and maze games that existed. And my early games were puzzle games, right? That's where I cut my teeth on puzzle games. Of like, you talked about the Game Boy and the original Game Boy, like Dr. Mario. That was one of my favorite games. Under the sun was Dr. Mario, and then later Myst on the computer.
Myst.
And then later with the Portal franchise. That's probably my favorite games on the planet. Oh, the Portal games,
It's
Portal
so
1 and 2,
good.
they're some of the best games that have ever been created if you like puzzlers. So that's where, my early days were puzzle games.
What about TF2?
Yeah, and I played
TFC.
competitive TF2, Team Fortress 2 for a while.
Oh, cool.
I wasn't any good, so I don't lead with that like Mark leads, because he was actually talented. But that's where I got into the competitive side. The gaming group I played with, Engage, Defeat, Reload, and we played for 2 or 3 seasons. And
Awesome.
yeah, but then I realized I first shooters are not my forte. I'll go back to
Gotcha.
puzzlers. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Star Wars Battlefront. Also grew up with that.
Oh, is that
They brought it back.
There was
They
a
just
PC
remastered the original ones.
I played the Star Wars game on. It was one of the PC ones, but it was the Phantom. I think it was the Phantom Menace.
I know what you're talking about.
Because
Yeah.
and I remember with the lightsabers, you could like actually.
Yeah.
And they had the rolly droids, and I mean, it was a little dream come true.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. Totally.
So good.
Totally. Oh
need to
man,
find that game.
It's so awesome. Favorite game right now? Quick go around.
Oh, right now my favorite probably Planet Crafter. It's
Okay.
it's another cozy game. You
Stardew Valley.
I'll have to look into it.
Yeah,
Never-
it's you terraform a planet.
What's it available for? Is it?
Steam. So you
Steam?
can get it on.
Okay,
It's
Steam.
a PC game. I'm mostly a PC gamer.
Cool.
But Planet Crafter. It's
I like that ghost hunting Steam game. My friend.
Phasmophobia. That
I
that
think
one, or
it's-
is it,
you
or
go-
the new one? There's
you
like
go
a
through-
control,
yeah.
or
I think there's like a new, like you have a
Yeah.
van outside and you go in, you look for clues, and you can do it with a friend. Yeah. Wish I knew.
Yeah,
You know, I know what you're talking about
It's a
because I
ghost
watch the
hunting game. You
streamers.
can play with
do
another
it. It's
friend,
great,
and
Yeah.
it's like you can actually get like
Yeah.
taken out by these ghosts and stuff. And it's actually kind of like
I'm not gonna be able to
decently
think of it.
realistic.
I know,
It's
and I
kind
can
of
think of it.
interesting.
It's brand new.
It's
And-
brand new.
Except for the ghost part.
So he came over on Halloween and we turned all the lights off in my apartment and he just played it on his screen.
That
Just
sounds
like
terrifying.
just in pitch black darkness, and it was actually kind of awesome. I'm like, wow, this game is like pretty cool. Like Steam is cool, definitely cool. So what about you? Favorite game right now?
What game I played the most or
Yeah.
game I like the most?
Either or.
All right, I played the most Valorant, but I like
Okay.
the most Divinity Original Sin.
I gotta check out
2.
Valorant. I gotta check out Valorant.
Yes, you
because I didn't actually hear
punishing.
about it until I came here and talked to you guys. So I gotta check.
Oh
that out.
gosh, yes. I
gotta
wish you
check that
luck.
out.
Join
I
us.
feel like it's slept on.
Join
one
us.
of us.
I
One
love
of us.
I'd love to play Fortnite with you guys sometime.
Yes.
Just for,
Ready.
obviously
I'm not
just for
good.
fun.
I'm not good. You can carry me. That's fine.
No, I mean, obviously, just for fun. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
whatever. I mean, because
We stream it. I love
what's
it.
so great about crossplay, people being able to play more together from different systems was just great. I mean, I hated how, oh, do you have it? I hated how like you meet someone for the first time and you vibe so well, and you're like, oh man, I wonder if he plays video games. I'm like, yo, do you game online? Oh yeah, and you're like, oh, this is sweet. We're gonna play video games. We don't have
Xbox
to just
only.
hang out like in person. We can play video games. And then I'm like, so what do you got? Xbox. I'm like, oh, I have PlayStation.
Well, you gotta
But
find
now
those
these
crossplay
days-
games.
But now these days,
Yeah.
it's like, I have Xbox. Oh, I have PlayStation, but it doesn't matter because it's crossplay. So it's great. That's so awesome. But So I mean, I guess we can wrap up. This has been really awesome. I would love for you to touch on sort of where people can find you. Where you're located, your website. Sort of kind of promote yourself to everyone, let everyone know what's good, and if there's anything I didn't touch on that you'd like to touch on, please.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think, games. I'll start with games we're playing right now.
Yeah.
Valorant.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me know. What's your
that's
favorite game
that's
right
pretty
now?
much.
Valorant?
And then we've just in the last day, we're starting to have more of a focus on mobile games.
Cool.
Which I think
The last day.
last day.
In the last
For
24
Emily, it's been the
hours.
last week. Can't peel her off. But like Mobile Legends Bang Bang, which is a version of League of Legends or MOBA.
Cool.
Game style. So that's been pretty amazing.
No Overwatch around here. I'm surprised.
Overwatch
huge.
is I don't want to say it's a dead game.
Okay.
It's not a dead game.
It's not a dead game. I didn't
Used
say
to play it
that.
a lot. I don't
They got
as
that
much,
Saudi
but
money,
I
guys.
have a lot of friends that play Overwatch. A lot of friends.
Yeah.
And I know
So
how big it
Roger
is.
wants to say something.
I know how big it
No,
is in
I
the
just-
Pro Sport area. The Pro.
This is a very Valorant centric for competitive. This is a Valorant centric group.
Which is an important thing, though. Like, so
gotta check
everybody
that
has
out.
their different flavor of game, right? And their different what they like to do. And you'll hear this a lot, right, in the gaming industry, where it's like, oh, it's a dead game, and I just did that, and it's often not true. Right? It's just games go through cycles. They go through peaks and troughs. And Dr. Karamanica here would probably know more about the research. But seriously, it's like a lot of these games have resurgence. Like they have a resurgence. So we are very Valorant centric, but it doesn't take away from the League of Legends and Dota and all the fighting game scene. I mean, look at Evo and they just got the key to the city in Las Vegas. I mean, it's unbelievable. And that's just the esports scene. Goes beyond that to the casual game scene. So we're playing a lot of Valorant.
Love it.
In terms of how to find us and what we want people to know, I would say we're here in Newtown, 27 Glen Road. Easy one. We are running programs year-round, seasonal. So if you're looking for a program in the summer, that's great. We're here. It doesn't have to work year round. We have different programs all season. We also have our mobile solution traveling around the state. We've been everywhere from Plainfield to Danbury to Naugatuck to Torrington for various young adult and youth programs. You can find us online at affinityesports.gg. You can also find our link tree, which has all of our social links, which is tr.ee/Affinity Esports, where you can get all of our information.
Linktree is great.
The link tree is
Utilize it
unbelievable.
so hard. It's awesome.
Unbelievable. It just simplifies the list, right? And we also have all of our updated programs there.
What's the best way to get in touch for those who are like, I want to get in touch. I want to know more. Is it email,
Email's
phone
the
call?
easiest way, yeah.
Okay.
hello@affinityesports.gg. We also have our phone number, which I should know by heart, on our website. It's in the footer. Anybody else here? This will be a test.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Everyone's
I got
fired.
nothing.
So we do have a phone number on the website. You can text or call that.
Awesome.
So yeah, we'd love to hear from anybody. We're here to
Awesome.
help. A lot of parents are scared. We're here to talk to them. Community leaders, we're here to talk to them.
Awesome.
And we're also coming to Milford, so keep an eye out for any summer
Milford's great.
camps. Yep. And mobile programming. We're going to be launching some mobile classes this spring, so keep that in your minds.
And we didn't get to tell our gamer handles. I think that's really important.
Definitely let us know.
So I think maybe we can go down the
Yeah.
line because I like to justify the space, and I love to make people with doctor in the front of their name tell what their gamer
My
handles
gamer
are.
Silent Night. So it's a play on psychology, my hero complex with Night, and it's much nicer than some other gamer handles I've had in the past. So
Nice.
But it's spelled with a P.
PSY.
Nice.
Yes. So that's my gamer handle.
That's awesome.
But he's always listed as do not disturb on Discord, so don't bug him.
That's just because I'm in 30 or 40 servers and it gets overwhelming. Yes.
I actually have 3 gamer tags right now. So my main one is Dubious Winter, which is a randomly generated Xbox Live name.
Cool.
And then I'm also Releash the Kraken, which is a play on words. What does it mean? I don't know. Put the Kraken back on a leash, maybe. And then I'm a millennial, so also To the Windows.
Nice. Nice.
She did.
That's awesome.
And I have 2, and I will piggyback off of Kate's. And my one of my gamer tags is to the walls. So we are to the windows, to the walls. And then my main is.
I love it. I love it. It's great.
So when we cue together,
you.
it brings people
It
joy.
is. To the windows, to the
We
walls.
don't need to.
I think
I'm not here for the Lil Jon erasure, Mark.
Yeah. Gosh.
I think the best is when you play online with other people and their gamer tags like all like add up to like it's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I always get a kick
Yeah.
out. I'm like, I get it. Yeah, it's cool.
I think people can guess. To the windows, to the walls,
Yeah,
etc.
That's where we
Yeah.
will leave it.
Anyway, and then my main is Poco Loco.
That's great. So mine, my primary and what I grew up with was Subhuman, and I think that was some sort of playoff of like Sub-Zero. I thought that was super cool. Scorpion was really cool, but Sub-Zero was cool, and somehow it landed on Subhuman. And before that, it was Inigo Montoya, for any Princess Bride fans.
It's a great movie.
And I had a spam that said, "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." And I also, when Emily got on to play Valorant, I went with Mucho Loco.
Stole it.
I stole it, and I don't have any others. So.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
We'll leave it at that.
That's cool. I ran into someone on Fortnite who's a friend of a friend, and his is Barks and Rec because he has a lot of dogs.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
He adopts
Amazing.
dogs, so
Yeah.
he has a lot of adopted dogs at his home. So.
And what's yours, Jeff?
So like I said before, mine is Jeff_Spencer.
You can find me on all platforms.
I literally just like, here I am. My name's Jeff Spencer.
I love that.
May I
Like, when
suggest
lose,
Lil
people are
Jon
like, wow,
lyrics?
Jeff Spencer's a loser.
Nobody's gonna be doxing you.
Yeah, because when I lose, everyone's like, Jeff Spencer's a loser. Look at that guy. You know, and I'm just like, yeah, like, I lost.
I
I
did
own it.
lose.
But I like put it out there. I'm like, this is my name. This is me. You're beating Jeff Spencer, or I'm beating you.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't know why. I think I just, because every username I ever have, I'm like, it's just my name. It's easy. Whatever. It's my name. But definitely, I don't know. Pretty soon in the future, I want to definitely have like a cooler name for sure.
We could help you with that, and we got esports jerseys where you
yeah.
put your name on the back. Yours would just be Spencer.
Jeff
Yeah.
Jeff_Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff_Spencer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's
That'd
it.
be great.
Anything else anyone want to touch on that we didn't touch on? You'd like to definitely. Anything at all? So
This
one
was
thing,
awesome.
Yeah, this has been great. I mean, and like I said, the first video production. Thank you, Josh. Josh has been doing such a great job. Variation visuals. We appreciate him so much, and can't wait to see this when it comes out. And definitely want to do more of these down the line in the future for sure. And thank you all, and thank you so much for getting the time to be here to do this to join me on the podcast. I really appreciate it because it's your story, what you do every day. That's drives the show. Drives what I do, makes me interested in what you do and how you help our community. Because one big thing with me is local is so important. It's the air I breathe. It's one of the few more important things in my life is just supporting local people because everything starts on the local level, no matter what it is. And that's where the biggest impact and change and education really starts. It starts on the local level. So I'm so glad I could be here and do this with you all, and thank you so much for providing the ability to do this. This is awesome. And one thing I like to touch on with my guests before they leave me, and I've been doing this for every episode since we started, is being in Connecticut, we're known for our pizza. And we're really known for our food. We've got some really great food places. And because I'm on the nomination panel for the Connecticut Restaurant Association Crazy Awards that takes place every year at Foxwoods, nominating the best of the industry, I always like to bring up the question, when you're in New Haven, when you ever get a chance to go to New Haven, we're all so busy. We don't always get a chance to go to New Haven all the time and have the amazing pizza that's there, the number one in the world, in the country at least. And when you're in New Haven, are there any places that you really like to go to? Like, what's your favorite? Everyone's got the debate. Is it Pepe's? Is it Sally's? Is it Bar? Is it Modern? Is it Abate's? Is it the list goes on and on. So definitely, we'll start from someone and work our way around. Tell me, what's your favorite pizza in New Haven? What's your favorite pizza around this area when you just want to go to pizza? Long day. Don't want to make dinner, just order some pizza. And then what are some places that you like to eat at and you like to frequent? And because I love just shouting out those folks and everything like that. So
I mean, with the whole New Haven debate, I think they're all great. So I'm gonna punt that.
They are.
I enjoy. No, I mean,
You're not wrong.
I'm just no.
So
They're
diplomatic.
great. I'm sorry. They're great. But I'd say locally, which might be a little more dicey get into.
Big Y.
Big
Big Y party pizza for the win.
Big
Grew up on
Y,
party
Big Y for the
pizza.
price. They
Grew up on
crush the party
They
pizza.
crush.
They crush it every Friday night
They
here.
crush
Let
the
me
price,
tell you.
yeah.
No, but I do think Gino's exceptional.
Yeah, right down the street.
Right down the street.
Gino's,
But
Sandy
we
Hook.
also love, I've got to say, Dennis and the family and co at Mi Familia Bleecker Street. They've got some fantastic pizza. We definitely frequent there.
Yeah, Dennis is great. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
that's what I would throw out for that.
Cool. Awesome.
As far as New Haven pizza, I've been to Sally's. I've been to, what is it, Frank Pepe, whatever.
Wow.
So I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
She's from
Whatever.
Florida. She
Oh
doesn't know
my
good
I'm
pizza.
from Florida. I know Cuban food and no
Oh.
pizza. I'm just kidding.
They have Frank Pepe's in Florida now.
Do they really?
Yeah, now they
That's
do.
not
Yeah.
surprising.
Yeah, New Haven pizza's actually, there's places in Florida that make pizza and they say New Haven style on the.
They also say
I know.
Cuban style. You don't. We won't get into that.
Gotcha.
But I think it was called like a modern pizza.
Modern, yep.
Yeah,
Modern, yep,
that
modern.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's
in
usually
New
everyone's
Haven.
favorite.
Yeah, it
that
was
and, that and
delicious.
Pepe's. Few
Yeah.
people like Sally's, but yeah.
I think they had
nice.
like the grandpa pizza. I don't know what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was,
yeah.
but it was so friggin' good.
Cool.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
Nice. Any restaurants you like around here? Or you like to go to that more than
do.
others or anything like that?
Where was that Italian restaurant that we went to in South?
Oh, the new Italian place.
Yeah, in Southbury. What is it called? It was really good.
Is it in the plaza with the movie theater?
Yes.
Mercado.
Yes, Mercado.
Yeah,
It was
it's
really
owned.
good.
It's owned by Marketplace. The people on Marketplace.
Yes.
Yeah. Great folks.
We really
Yeah.
enjoyed. Yeah,
Yeah.
we really enjoyed.
They're opening a
Mercado.
Mercado in Cheshire right here. My dad lives up in that area, so
Yeah,
cool.
It's very good.
Awesome. Cool.
I have been waiting my whole life for someone to ask me this question while I was holding a microphone.
I've asked this question for a long time.
Oh
I've
my
asked this for a long
God.
time.
Yes.
This makes or breaks it for a lot of people.
Okay.
listening.
I've also, this is a really hot take. So
Yeah.
I've been to Sally's, Pepe's, and Bar. I have not been to Modern.
Okay.
Shame on me.
Okay.
I think they're all amazing.
Okay.
I posit to you that the greatest New Haven pizza is out of Brewport and Bridgeport.
You know what? Brewport is solid.
It's so good.
We
Oh
still
my
haven't
God.
been there. We need to
It
go.
is
It's the
really
bacon.
good.
They
It
gotta-
is really
it's the
good.
bacon.
Dave Port and I went there and gave it a really high score.
Oh, it's so good. Okay. And then for around here, for pizza, I actually think New Silem.
That's true.
You don't do takeout out of New Silem. You
Thin,
got to go
crispy
and
bar pie.
drink a beer and eat a bar pie, and it just hits the spot.
Their pies are really good.
So good.
What about Bad Sons?
I have not. Do they have pizza there?
They do.
Oh, I
It's also
haven't
very
been.
good.
I went once, like right after they opened. I don't know if they had pizza. We didn't order it, so it might be amazing. Haven't been. Around here, actually, we were devastated when Lucas Local moved out of Newtown to
Same.
Southbury.
Vincent's a friend of the show.
Oh,
Yep.
So good.
We've been once since they were in Southbury. We're kind of on the wrong side of town for that, but like I'm a Lucas Local stan. And then we do like Sally Pepe, La Zingara.
Nice.
We like some Italian food.
Is Roseland Pizza the one at Bad Sons? Is that what it is?
I think it is. Yeah.
I mean,
It's
Roseland
so
is-
good.
Absolutely beautiful.
So this is a tricky one. So the best New Haven pizza is actually not in New Haven. It's in West Haven. It's Zapardi's.
Okay, yes. No, so Zapardi's is part of that.
Yeah, so
Yes.
it gets left out of the conversation too much.
Zapardi's is one of the big.
Never even heard of it. I'm so excited.
Zapardi's is
Zapardi's.
fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, yep.
So when you talk that that list, Zapardi's is on there, but it's technically in West Haven, and it's
Okay.
easier to get to. So it's Zapardi's for me.
We need to do a field trip.
And then for other pizza in that area, Tom and Pat's in West Haven is fantastic
Yeah.
as well. It doesn't get on any of the radar, but they're great family owned organization that I've always liked them. And then as far as other eateries, I'm more in the Milford, West Haven, New Haven area. The Plate in Milford was fantastic, and Pops, you can't go wrong.
Oh, I love me a good
at
Pops.
So I like very simple
Awesome.
diner food, things of that nature.
Very cool.
But yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love bar. I'm a huge bar guy.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the vibe in there, and they put lobster on pizza
Ooh.
during the summer, and I'm a huge lobster guy, so I
Yeah.
enjoy that. And their bacon and chive, or potato and chive, or their potato pizza is really good as well. And then around here, I mention on every show, and people are probably sick of me, but Good Old Days Pizza.
Oh my God!
yeah.
Yes, I can't believe
Yes.
I forgot.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
good.
Shout out
Bikini
to
bod.
Matt Stanzak, who opened it, got it going. He, of course, moved
Pizza's
on,
solid.
and he's over in Pauling, New York now, and has Bab's Pizza. He's doing
Ooh.
New York style. I actually just saw him last week. Oh my gosh, this guy He loves pizza, man. Like, he treats pizza like it's a child to him, and just the way he, I don't know, just the way he, the love that goes into the pizza he makes. I don't want anyone else touching my pizza.
So hungry.
But
I am too. We haven't had dinner, to be fair, but can I just good old days is amazing. I think, and we can close however we're going to close. I know we've been working on it, but
yeah,
we've been so fortunate. We didn't get to touch on this, to be in Sandy Hook / Newtown, right? Community has embraced us. We are a non-conventional business. We are doing something that is scary for a lot of people. And so I think when we're talking about what's your favorite local restaurant or your favorite, it's like, oh my God, everything we've found here in this community, people have embraced us. So we're lucky enough here tonight to have, and I know you touched on it at the beginning, Akila's Nest, Neviana, and the crew over there.
Neviana Shgaba.
Unbelievable.
Friend of the show. Came on. She's been on twice. So you gotta check,
she told me that. I was like, hey, do you think we could? And she's like, I've been on twice. I was like, well, now Jeff and I have to talk. We got lots to talk about. So second show.
Neviana, thank you. Appreciate you.
And then Ryan over at Reverie. I can't,
yes.
Both of them, we've run charity events. They immediately do whatever they can to help the community, every cause. So I'm so appreciative of that. And we didn't end up getting him here, but I know sponsor of the show, Uncle Matt.
Uncle Matt's.
Gotta shout him out.
Reverie sponsors the show as well. Thank you, guys.
Reverie, oh my God.
Yep.
So amazing. And we've seen that here is that they've all embraced us.
Yep.
So you gotta talk.
Thank
about
you to
that.
Perfusion Bar. Thank you to Andy Sachs and Around Town Real
Perfusion.
Estate.
I think we saw you at Perfusion one time.
Yes.
We're like, oh my God, that's
The Christmas Miracle.
right.
Yes.
Yes.
It was a miracle.
And it was a miracle. It was really good. Matt did a great job, and the team over there. Everyone, shout out to you guys. Love you guys, and thank you, Matt, for being a sponsor. Homes Fine Gardens, thank you. I'd be remiss to mention them as well. Really, really, really. Oh, and the Amber Room Colonnade in Danbury. Thank you as well for being an awesome sponsor of the podcast. I really appreciate it. And thank you all. It's like you said, the local level, amazing businesses that support everyone in town and do great things and give back. I don't think a lot of people realize some of the money that's put forward by businesses in this town who, small business as it is, they struggle sometimes, most of the time, and it's hard to get by, and it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot different than being at this big corporate level, and they still give money and time to donate to their community, give back, and that's what's so great about you guys, and like you said, Reverie, Uncle Matt's, just everyone taking a chance on me to sponsor my show. I mean, that's one of those things, giving back to the community. I'm part of this. Even though I live in Brookfield, I grew up in Newtown. This place, I will die for this place. If there's a war, in Newtown, and they needed me enlisted, I will be there. I'll put my life down for this town. I love that. I love this town that much, and I think people know that. I'm always pumping up Newtown wherever we go. I'm super proud. I always tell people I'm from Newtown, Connecticut, and I'm damn proud. But and this is one of those things that makes me so proud to be from this town. The great work that you do in the community. So thank you all so much, because without you, nothing else is really possible, and it's great, man. And I love to brag about it too. We have an esports place, what do you got? But
it's a big deal.
Yeah,
but we appreciate you, and we're very proud to be raising our girls here, and to have met and be able to work with so many people that get to help this community.
Agreed. Well, listen, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I feel like this is just the beginning.
Thank you.
I really do. I feel like we'll have more episodes. You guys will be on again. We'll we should make this a thing. It's great, because we could have went on forever, which is great. It makes for great content, and I'm sure everyone's really going to enjoy this. So thank you all so much. Thank you to Josh, of course, Variation Visuals.
Thank
really
you,
appreciate it.
Josh.
Thank you to Affinity Esports. Of course, thank you to all our sponsors who we mentioned. We appreciate you. We love you so much. Shout out to Newtown, of course, and Sandy Hook, and just Connecticut, man. We're crushing it. So thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great one, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.